Main Event Podcast, episode number 21. Jason Carter along with Steve McCullum.
Hello, hello.
And sorry, my mind kind of blinked out there reading the big news of the day. Obviously not the All-Star games, who cares, meaningless game, whatever. Great game all in all. But the big news came down. Paul Heyman's tweeting out, man, looks like the deal is done. Manny Machado just made the Dodgers World Series contender once again.
Were they not a World Series contender without him?
Well, according to you downstairs, they sucked.
Yeah, they do suck.
I mean, 5th best record in the NL. Yeah.
Here we go.
Terrible team LA is.
Here we go.
Terrible team they are this year.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Dodgers obviously seeing some sort of window closing and went all in to Manny Machado, who is, as at this point, right now, just a rental. We'll see what happens in the postseason. I mean, last year they opted not to sign Yu Darvish, but, they could be getting some money coming in this year due to the fact that it looks like Sammy Kershaw is probably going to be deucing out. So, I mean, looks like that could be a long-term haul that the Dodgers do get, and Machado could be staying there for a while. So it's right now just kind of reading out what Paul Heyman tweeted out. Looks like it's believed to be 5 minor leaguers going to the Orioles. So it's
including Diaz.
It's kind of based on what, outside of Diaz, it's unclear who, and it doesn't really say like the level of quality if they're like top prospects, mid-range prospects, or what.
Well, Diaz is the catch there. No doubt about that. He lit it up in the Futures game. What was it? 2 home runs and. In the Futures game the other night, so...
Yep, hit the game winner.
Well, great. The rich keeps getting richer. Good for the Dodgers.
Oh, that's what happens. That's what happens for now. But then, what's going to happen is in a few years, they're going to be like trying to go for it so many times, and they're not going to get it, that they're going to be like, crap, we got to rebuild. Like, we have all these old players who aren't going to get done for us. We got to rebuild.
Their problem isn't hitting, I don't believe. I believe their problem is pitching.
Yeah, I mean...
Kershaw is, 3 for 4 and has an outrageous...
the problem with Kershaw is them not waiting until Kershaw's healthy. But outside of that, I mean, their bullpen coming in later innings seems to be kind of letting you down a little bit. But I think, Manny Machado, I mean, hey, get the runs on the board, let the rest kind of fizzle out.
So we were talking about this during the All-Star game here that just concluded, so we were waiting for it to end to do this. But what's with Machado's 12-year-old skating haircut?
I don't know. He looks like a total douchebag. I thought so.
Like, I thought he looked young, with his hat on. He took that off that dugout. It was like, what in the world are you thinking?
He looked like a 12-year-old boy. Like, he has the line going, which is cool and all, but then he has his hair, like, all slicked to the side. It looks like he's an anime cartoon.
It's all shaved everywhere but the top.
Terrible. I don't like it. Anyways, make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter at the Main Event Pod. Also, follow me on Twitter at JasonCarter03. You can follow Steve on there at SMac500. Like us on Facebook. Share all that stuff with your friends and everything. Say, hey, I like these guys. They're pretty cool. And we'd appreciate you so much. And if you want to, you can, link up to our Patreon page. I think I haven't linked up to Patreon yet. Not too sure. I'll make sure I do that on Podbean. You can also make sure you share us and follow us and subscribe to us through your podcast iTunes app and also Spotify. So yeah, does that take care of everything? Is that all?
And then GestaltProduction.com.
Yes, make sure you also check out GestaltProduction.com for the latest and greatest. You can just go right to the podcast right there, and also check out some racing videos if you're into racing and whatnot, and check out the other podcast, Racing with Jason podcast. So boom, there you go, all of it right there. Anyways, so yeah, don't really know who's going who, but I did notice that you didn't see a whole lot of Machado once he got off the bench. Like, I don't think he was in the dugout anymore. I think he kind of got word, hey, it happened. Go do what you gotta do, man.
Well, all the players that removed from the game went and had their conferences, because Chris Sale had his press conference, after he left the game in the first inning to explain why he left and what happened in that first inning. So I think all the players kind of went on that. But Rosenthal did interview him, Ken Rosenthal from Fox, did interview him and asked him about it. And he said he knows nothing, but he's excited to whatever happens, and he knows nothing as of right now. And as far as he knows, he's an Oriole. That's what he said when his interview in the dugout was he got pulled from the game. So either a really good liar but I mean, they were saying before the game that...
I mean, he knew it was coming down the pipeline, that it was probably going to happen. He probably just hadn't got the official word yet. Like, hey, here it is, because there's always those things that do change, like, at the 11th hour, as they call it. We've seen it, before. I mean, NBA, DeAndre Jordan supposed to sign with the Mavericks, 11th hour, went to the Clippers. Cliff Lee traded from to the Rangers back in 2010, I believe. ESPN, I remember going to sleep because I was in Japan, living there. So Saturday morning, ESPN's like, "Oh, Cliff Lee is a Yankee. Deal's done." It was like breaking news. Cliff Lee going to the Yankees. Like, oh man, that sucks. And then I woke up and I turned on the TV because the actual the Ranger game was on TV that next day, which was very rare. It's like Cliff Lee making his first start as a Ranger. I was like, what? What happened there?
What in the world has happened?
And it all just comes down to what package you think is better. So I mean, I know there were some reports where some of the ESPN guys were like, well, the Phillies have a better package. It's like, well, maybe the Orioles don't like those prospects. They don't like those guys. They want these other guys. So,
well, we don't know what the whole deal is yet. We'll have to wait and see. And then, word will start to leak out what the Phillies offered, because obviously the Philly fan base is going to be upset about it. So they've got to get word out what they're willing to offer and what got turned down, so they can show, because they were definitely in it. I mean,
right.
They were definitely in it. It wasn't like they were lowballing or anything like that. So I think I was telling you that I was listening to a broadcast where I think it was Tim Kurchkin.
Kurchin.
I know. I always say his name the way it's spelled. It's funny.
It was great in the Legends game, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great single, right? Or was it double? Single.
I think it was a fielder's choice, actually.
Oh, that's right. It was a fielder's
But he got on. He scored. Congratulations to the Miz, by the way, MVP.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't finish watching that.
Mike the Miz, Mizanian.
But he was saying that the Phillies have a fund for Mike Trout for next year and everything. That I guess they started one for Machado also for next year as well. So they're putting money aside for revenue to sign those guys and go after it for a while, which is. Philly's not exactly a small market, but they've been on the downside lately. So.
Yeah, I mean, this year, though, having a great year right now, rocking out in first place.
Surprising year.
It's, definitely a surprising year. I think the entire NL East has been the surprising division. I mean, it's been fun, watching it and seeing what's kind of been going on with the NL East. I mean, obviously, right now, Philly's up by half a game over Atlanta. Didn't see that one coming. The Nationals, 5.5 games back, so they're just got to the 500 mark. They're at the threshold now, so, I mean, who knows? Things get interesting, but the thing I like coming up about the second half of the season, which the unofficial second half of the season, because we're already at game 98 for most teams, is the next 2 months are no longer going to be how it's been in years past, where mid-August you're like, God, let's just end this season already. It's going to be a dogfight, no doubt about it. These teams are going to be going after each other because it's a sprint to the finish now. It's not the long dog days of summer. It is literally you look at the NL East, you have the Phillies, the Braves, the Nationals, all within 5.5 games of each other. Look at the Central. Chicago, 2.5 games up right now. Milwaukee, starting to fade a little bit. Lost the last 6. Milwaukee's got to get it turned around, and they got to get it turned around in a hurry because they cannot afford to be 4 games out in 2 weeks. You look at the NL West, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Rockies, even the Giants, 4 games back right now. It's gonna be a fantastic finish in that division. Over on the American League side, obviously some divisions getting wrapped up soon, but the wild card is still a big crapshoot. I mean, you have the Astros right now, 5 games up over the Mariners. The A's, Billy Beane actually said this past week he wants to buy at the deadline, and they're 8 games back of the division. But when it comes, in terms of the wild card, they're right there, only 3 games out. So you look at that for the American League West. The NL or American League East obviously going to come down to Boston or New York. Those 2 teams, 4.5 games separates them. But then you go back to Tampa Bay. I mean, they're only 8.5 out. I mean, it actually had a surprising year for what it is. Not super over the top contending, but some big news coming out of Tampa Bay last week, which we'll get into here in a little bit. And then you look at the AL Central as well. Cleveland right now 7.5 games up over the Twins, but the Twins, another one of those teams. I mean, last year kind of had their great year, I guess you can say, and then it just kind of fizzled off, which a lot of people thought it would. I didn't expect Cleveland to continue their dominance like they have, but I don't know. I think it's going to be an exciting second half of the year. I mean, even just looking at the wild card races, Steve, Right now you have New York and Seattle, the 2 wildcard teams. So you have Oakland 3 games back. I mean, Tampa Bay still 8.5 back. It's doable, maybe. I don't know. I mean, probably
3.5
not.
back from the wild card?
They're 8.5 back from the wild card. So I mean, it might be doable, but they got to like start putting together some wins. And same with LA, 9 games back. If Mike Scioscia has a job next year in LA, I'm gonna be dumbified. I don't know. Like
I've been saying that for years.
I'm still shocked that he has a job. But looking over the National League wild card, I mean, you got like 6 teams, 5.5 games separates them. Right now, Milwaukee and Atlanta, they lead it. Then you have D-backs, half game out. Rockies 2 games back. Cardinals just fired their manager. They're only 4 games out of the wild card spot. San Francisco 4 games out as well. Washington 5, Pittsburgh 5.5. So it's going to be a fun little sprint to the finish here, and I don't think it's going to be one of those boring like, oh man, baseball's still going on. Like it's going to be exciting.
And the way they do the schedule, that you play all division teams going into August, September. So
Right.
they'll be fighting it up. So, well, yeah, I mean, a lot has happened in baseball. Like you alluded to it, the Tampa Bay is getting a new stadium here.
Yes, the new stadium. That's
gonna help
actually
their revenue.
going to not be in St. Petersburg. It's going to be in Tampa Bay because they did the numbers and they realized nobody goes to St. Petersburg.
Then nobody drives the bridge to go to St. Petersburg.
Exactly. They just like,
Well, I mean, it was an old dumpy. It was that old dome stadium,
did they build that brand new when they got the team?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that.
I thought they did. I don't know.
I always equate it to like the old Alamo Dome, where the Astros used to play and everything. Like it was just that big. Same thing with Minnesota.
The Astrodome.
Astrodome, that's right. And then Minnesota had that big. It's that type of a dumpy place. So that's just going to help the revenue streams, moving it to where people want to play. But then also,
And they're doing it right. They're taking out seats.
Yep.
They're going to make a 30. I believe they want to do like a 30,000, maybe 33,000 seat arena.
For bigger events, but yeah,
it's going to have. They want to do like the glass roof type deal and like make it, where they can put it outdoors or indoors, whatever you want to do. So the renderings, check them out. The Rays, they Facebooked it last week, I believe, and Matt tweeted it out too. Just like, oh, check out this new stadium. People, automatically like, who the hell's going to pay for this? I hate you.
The old people of Tampa.
And then like the 10 people in St. Petersburg, why would you leave our city?
I know, right?
We care about you. Like, no, you don't. Like, they took out like half your seats, and you guys still don't fill the place. Even when the Yankees come to town, like you don't fill it.
Yeah, and then you have Yankees home base, right? So.
Even for like playoff games. I mean, I remember like those years the Rangers.
When Madden was there and they were winning, they were selling them out and whatnot.
Those years the Rangers went there and played them. They weren't selling it out during the wild card round. Like,
didn't that seat like 75,000 at one time?
And they even like took the seats out. No, I don't think it was that much. No, it's not that much at all. I don't believe.
I just remember it was this big bulky air stadium that was just ugly and.
So the big talk with that, though, obviously, kind of reflecting back to here now, is that obviously Tampa Bay, they came in same time. The
98, 97, 98, whatever.
They're 20 years in right now, same time as the Arizona Diamondbacks, who they've kind of been the talk and controversy here for a while about when we going to get a new stadium because, well, our stadium has leaks. There's random holes in the wall, there's mold, there's all this stuff. Like, it sucks. Like, when are we getting a new stadium? And a lot of people say, let's give it to them. A lot of people say, nope, you're under contract with us. So, I mean, obviously, there were some things that kind of came out about that, last year?
Yeah, well,
And then some more stuff a few months ago.
Well,
right?
the judge they just came to an agreement that they can look for a new place for a stadium if it's in Maricopa County with no, they can break the lease if they find another place in Maricopa County. If they go outside of Maricopa County,
then they have to play out the lease, which goes to like 2029, right?
Yeah, it's forever. So, but the problem is, all stadiums break down with wear and tear. But the argument was that who's supposed to pay for the repairs? The Diamondbacks say the county is.
Yeah, because
the county says the Diamondbacks are supposed to, and came into that legal deal. So, but it's going to take 4 to 5 years to even build one. So even if they had a site today, so.
So where exactly is Maricopa County? Because I know like Scottsdale is the place where they want to go.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, Loop 101, 202
like
area? Not to get too close.
Like you want to go to Scottsdale.
Well,
if you're here, like
sure
you want to go to Scottsdale.
The West Side people, they get a lot of West Side fans down there, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it's really not that far. Like, I mean,
It's not like football and hockey where you
Glendale to like Scottsdale isn't like super far away.
Oh, God, have you ever driven that 101 around there?
I have.
During rush hour? Because that's when games start, 6:40.
Well, maybe we can start a game a little later, you know?
Maybe have more day games or something.
Who does the 6:40 game time? But no, I think Scottsdale's actually where you want to be at.
They do the 6:40 game for the kids.
It makes it easier to get to, stadium-wise. I mean, nobody wants to go to downtown Phoenix. You just don't want to.
You got the light rail that goes down there.
Oh yeah, you do have the light rail and everything that goes down there, but they are doing the upgrades to like the 202 over there on that site. So I don't know. I mean, I think Scottsdale is where obviously they want to be at.
I think they're perfectly fine at Chase Field. They're just whiny babies.
I mean, they are, but I mean, it'd be nice to have a new stadium. Everybody likes new shiny things, all right? Like, I get why they do. I mean,
that's what it comes down to is, they don't want the maintenance costs or whatever, but unfortunately, you have a big stadium like that, things are going to happen, and that was funny when that sewer pipe broke and flooded everything. Everybody was like, wait, a stadium sewer pipe broke and it wasn't Oakland?
Right, but I mean, even like, me and you, I mean, we went to opening day and what, the H or the A was like, the last three letters on Chase were off. It's like, what the heck is this? Like, why is that letter off, like...
Yeah, I totally called that out, didn't I? Yeah.
These guys did nothing to upgrade anything during the offseason. And that's the thing, like, even if you just did, like, minor modifications to some stuff around the stadium, maybe added some things and took away some things, it'd be nice, but they just, like, they built that place for some reason, like, let's throw 48,000 seats in here, and you really just can't get rid of them without it looking super tacky, and they don't want to get rid of them. So I think if you go, I mean, obviously you're going to have to downsize. I mean, 35,000 maybe is a good number. Because on average, I think that you're drawing like 25,000. Well, at least last year they were.
Well, that's the trend in all these new stadiums, not just in baseball. What the trend is at one time it was build a bigger stadium, build a bigger stadium, build lots of seats.
It was the Field of Dreams motto. Yeah. If you build it, they will come.
Now the theory for the last, 5, 6, 7 years has been build a smaller stadium. Because one, people aren't going as much because TVs. The argument is you can get a better view on TV and blah blah blah. It's cheaper, blah blah. But then also you get that ticket demand up, and it doesn't look half them. I mean, the Diamondbacks generally have 35, 36,000, but in that stadium it looks so empty that people dog it. Like nobody's going. 35,000 for a Wednesday night game against the Pirates.
They're not getting 35,000 on Wednesday night.
28,000, 29.
Like I said, they're averaging like 26,000. I can't tell you. Let's see. I can go back and actually give you like the number of attendance here for some of their games. Just kind of randomly pick it out for you.
Well, while you're going to bore everybody with those stats,
they are not boring stats.
Tropicana Field was built in 1990, so it was 8 years.
Oh, so it wasn't even like a baseball stadium.
Yeah. And now it currently seats 42,000, but it was larger when they opened it. So,
that was terrible.
Well, it was built. It was built for, concerts and other events and stuff before the baseball team was announced. So, but it's used for college football. For what is that? Central Florida. That's there or whatever.
UCF. UCF doesn't play there.
Who plays there then?
I have no idea.
Who's in Tampa? University of Tampa.
Maybe. All right, so last Tuesday, Cardinals were in town. Obviously, Cardinals fans travel well. There's still, the first half of the ratings just came out. Cardinals right there up the top. So they travel well, have a great fan base. Last Tuesday was the 3rd of July, so obviously people start vacation, right? 25,000 people. Well, it was a little over 26. 25,800 people for the game last Tuesday. July 4th numbers at Chase Field. So that game draw, obviously, 44,000. But let's see here. Let's go to a Saturday game. Here we go. Division rival, San Francisco, coming in town a few weeks ago. Saturday night baseball game. Had a pretty solid matchup there with Miller and who's pitcher, some guy named Rodriguez, pitching pretty good. All right, that game actually did draw 38,000, so that's good.
What day was that?
That was a Saturday game against San Francisco. Let's go 2 weeks ahead of that against New York, 31,000. Miami 2 weeks earlier, so June 2nd. We got another 34. So Saturdays they draw. But you go to like a Wednesday game against Pittsburgh, I think this was a game we were probably at. 26,000,
We were there on the 5th, yeah. It was right after July 4th, because remember the waitress was saying how busy they were the night before.
Then you had like 22,000 for a Tuesday night game. So, it makes sense to downsize, I think. Obviously, 4th of July, you're going to get more people just because of the fireworks show and everything. But, if you're averaging around 38,000 for a Saturday night game, just make the stadium 38,000, call it a day.
Tropicana is the smallest seating baseball stadium in the MLB, and guess how many seats it sits?
How many?
42,000.
That's the smallest?
42,735, including tarp color covered seats. Yes.
Oh, so that includes the tarp covered
so
seats.
It's 31. It's 31,042. When the tarp covered ones are obstructed view, because like I said, it was built for other purposes. So 31,000 is what it basically seats
for baseball. Yeah, because you can tell the tarp cover seats. Like even on MLB The Show, they have the seats tarped over.
Yeah, those are the obstructed view seats that they don't sell or won't ever sell or anything. Even in the good years, they didn't sell those seats very much. So.
But speaking of Tropicana Field, obviously we talked about a little bit Monday night, last night, like when Bryce Harper was raking home runs, lighting up. I remember seeing a young 16-year-old Bryce Harper on those old like ESPN commercials where it's like, check out, this kid or whatever, and he was cranking out Tropicana Field like up into like the scoreboard area. So that was pretty cool. Obviously, him and his dad won in the home run derby on Monday night, so that was a pretty big highlight, I guess you can say, of the All-Star weekend.
The home run derby was pretty exciting, actually. We rolled in from vacation and walked in. I was listening to the first couple rounds on the car while we were sitting in traffic rolling through town to get home, but rolled in to see those last couple rounds. And the new format's exciting. The announcers aren't as annoying as they used to be.
Yeah, no Bergman. Back. I did. It was with some controversy, though. A little bit of controversy. As Cubs fans were taking to Twitter, not happy, because Kyle Schwarber always got beat in the final. But Bryce Harper's dad was not waiting until the balls were making contact with the fans before he was throwing his next pitch. So there was some controversy.
The ball the rule is the ball has to hit the ground before you throw the next pitch. But they signal to them when they can pitch.
Right.
So it's not him deciding. If you notice...
Yeah, there's an umpire behind there, like to the right, who says go.
Because he wasn't watching the ball travel. As soon as the ball was hit, he would reach down for another ball or two, and then he'd stand there. So it wasn't him that was doing it, but, who cared? Even if there was controversy, who cares?
I saw a lot of people like... One of my buddies at the Cubs was like, Bryce Harper's a cheater. I was like, man, 20 years ago in the home run derby, they were all cheating because they're all on PEDs, Like, who cares? Pick your battles, bro.
Well, that's the thing, oh my God, isn't there worse things to be upset about? Because that was exciting. He won on 18 home runs. He
hit 9 in a row to 4. He had his overtime stuff.
Under a minute to go, he hit a bunch.
Yeah, he hit 9 in a row to tie it up. Got all jacked up. Took a swig of Gatorade. Came back in there. Closed it out with 18. I don't know about you, dude, but this is the third year with this new format? Fourth year with this new format?
I'm not going to lie to you. This is the first time I'd seen the new format.
And it is absolutely awesome.
It's way better.
The first year they did it, Todd Frazier was the hometown kid in Cincinnati. He won it. And here, Bryce Harper, I think it's specialer. Specialer, is that a word?
No.
I think it's more special when, the hometown guy goes out there and puts on a show like that. It's set up for it great. Obviously he was the last guy batting in all of his rounds. So, once he cranked out his home runs, and he knew he was advancing. So
he's still got to hit the home runs. Yeah. That's the thing. It's not like, they're setting it up and faking it. He's still got a jack. The people hitting first in each round did not make it easy on him.
Oh, no, not at all.
I think the first round he, dominated and was done fairly early.
Yeah, they do it in seeding. So, obviously he had a pretty good seeding.
But what was it? I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but he had to hit 16 or 17 just to make it to the finals. And then in the finals, I think it was 17 or 18 he had to get to.
Yeah, he had to hit 17 just to tie it up.
Yeah, so it wasn't like, the other guy hit 4 and he goes out there and barely makes it 2.
Which we've seen in years past when it comes to the Derby. You get to the final round, guys are cranking out 3, because they have the... the final round they had 5 outs, right? It was 10 outs until they got to the final round, then it was 5 outs.
But then they're all worn out because they jacked, 30 home runs in round 2, and then they're worn out, so then they go in the finals, and it's a 4-3 home run final, and it was a bore. So, no, it was really exciting. I was impressed with it, and I like the format, definitely. And then, the thing is, a lot of guys weren't hitting long bombs, but Bryce sure was, man. He was hitting those 400.
Yeah, you got to hit him 440 feet to get the extra 30 seconds added onto you, and that's exactly what he got. I mean, and they were even talking about that second round. It's like, man, he hasn't hit one over 440 yet. He's not going to get this,
Then he hit that one.
The 30.
Gave him the win. Yeah.
So,
but that's the thing about that. I mean, like I said, Cubs fans cry all you want. He's a cheater, whatever. But whether that was just exciting fun, the hometown guy won, and he had to hit those home runs to win it. So it was just exciting fun.
More than likely could have been his last little hoorah for the city of Washington, because he is a pending free agent who a lot of people think is going to get $400 million next year.
Yeah, that's coming down now because he struggled. He struggled 2 of the last 3 years. People don't realize that. Like 2 years ago, he struggled a little bit. Last year, he was on fire, and then this year, he's struggling a little bit again. So people are saying, you never know. Some owner out there is going to flip out that Bryce Harper's available and throw the bank at him. But you never know with baseball owners. They're another breed with money. But he's definitely hurting that number as it comes down. It's never good when your agent has to come out and say that pending free agency has nothing to do with your struggles. That's not a good thing. So
yeah, we look at his career stats. So this is his 7th year in the league, and he's been an all-star every year but one of those. Obviously,
that was the year he was injured.
Yeah,
right?
he was injured. Out for 100 games. Was probably on his way to being an all-star. We got hurt fairly early.
That was when he tripped on the base, right?
And then came back in it. And then, he went on to, just kind of dominate, next couple of years. Won MVP back in 2015, won MVP in 2000. I know that was it. He finished 12th in the voting last year. So, he was right up there fighting for that MVP spot. Obviously 15 was his big year. Had the 42 bombs, the most he's had, ever has a player. The only time he's actually been over 30 for a season, so I don't know. It'll be fun. Last year, obviously, he did get hurt, but he was having a phenomenal year. Had 29 jacks before he got hurt.
Yeah, last year again. That's what I was wondering. Yeah. So
then he came back. So
so it was last year and this year. He struggled starting out on the bat this year. So, but do you feel Bryce Harper markets himself very well? Do you think that? Why do we know so much about Bryce Harper?
So I saw a tweet about this. My good buddy, who's a producer, 670 The Score in Chicago, Michael Chin, actually shared a guy's tweet here. I can find this tweet real quick here for you and kind of pull it up and let you know exactly what it said, because I thought it was interesting. The way he kind of tweeted it, he retweeted somebody who asked. It was a tweet from Jeremy Darlow. At Jeremy Darlow, he's a 2-time author of Athletes Are Brands Too, and Brands Win Championships. So he's a brand consultant to athletes. He actually said, has one of those, who has the stronger personal brand? Retweet for Harper, like for Trout. And that's like his Twitter poll. A lot of people have actually, so far in this tweet, 42 people have liked it. But I think the retweet should be way higher, because I think Harper does a better job at branding himself. But Michael actually said, I hate that this is the answer, but most average Americans wouldn't know either, and that's a huge problem for the MLB. But I feel like Bryce Harper is the guy who kind of marks himself more, but I don't know if it's more of a marketing branding type deal. I think it's more of you hear more about Bryce Harper because...
Where he plays?
Well, not where he plays, but when he's in the news, like... Bryce Harper throwing punches, Bryce Harper getting ejected, coming back on the field, Bryce Harper having a spat, just...
Yeah.
He's a gamer, obviously. Like, I always get asked this question, they always do the whole, what if you were starting your franchise? Who would you pick? And I always say I would pick Bryce Harper because I feel like he's a gamer. I know he's going to go out there, give it his all. Jonathan Papelbon might not see it that way, but screw Jonathan Papelbon. He gave up 3 runs in the top of the ninth.
I don't think either. Trout. Well, it's obviously a Trout story bringing up here, but I don't think Bryce Harper markets it himself at all. Like, you rarely hear the guy talk. You know, when you do hear about him, he's doing something exciting like belting a 600 foot home run, or he's doing something in baseball that's spectacular. But he's not even considered the best player in baseball.
Or he's doing like something dumbass.
Yeah, like beating up Papelbon in the dugout or whatever, you know. But I guess that's more my point, because Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, comes out today and says Mike Trout limits his popularity because he won't market himself. And it just brings me to my question when we were talking about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper doesn't market himself. What does Bryce Harper do to market himself?
Well,
nothing. He has done nothing.
You go to the Under Armour store, what do you see? You see a poster of Bryce Harper because he's an Under Armour brand.
Do you? Because I've been in 1,000 Under Armour stores and I can't tell you that Bryce Harper's an Under Armour guy.
I literally saw him at the Under Armour store the other day when I went in there.
All right, well, I miss it then, because
it's a beautiful poster of Bryce right when you walk in. It's huge. It's like the size of that window right there. It's just a big old poster of Bryce. And he was on the Body Issue, ESPN Body Issue.
Well, there's multiple things on this. Is Mike Trout is a quiet player. He plays in the LA market. His team hasn't been in the playoffs in a lot of years. They're the same age, basically. They came in the league the same way. Mike Trout is considered the better player. The Nationals have made the playoffs, even though they get blown out in the first round. Mike Trout plays the game, doesn't cause controversy, doesn't fight with his teammates, doesn't show up other players, stuff like that. Things like that. So that's more of why you hear about Bryce Harper, I think, than you do Mike Trout. But for a commissioner to come out and basically saying Manfred literally said Trout chooses not to spend his downtime marketing, but I don't know what Bryce Harper does for marketing. Like you say, he's in the Under Armour store. It's the first I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, he came out like he was like a huge. He's like.
And I go to I've been to the Under Armour store with you and another person in my life numerous times, and I don't ever remember seeing a Bryce Harper poster that I would recognize.
Yeah, he's totally in there. Totally in there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, Mike Trout working on year 8. He's 26 years old. He's been an all-star for the last 7 years. MVP for 2 of those years. Finished second for the MVP in 3 of those years, and one of those was the year that he won the Rookie of the Year and finished 4th MVP voting last year. But I don't know. It's like a weird thing with Trout is because, I know you mentioned the LA market, but he plays for the other LA team. Like, they don't get enough love up there. They really don't.
See, LA's a different market. The Dodgers are favorites north of Orange County, and the Angels are favorites south of Orange County. Orange County's like not even part of LA, even though it's part of LA. It's not part of LA. That's why they have the Ducks there, and things like that, and they have the Kings in LA. It's because they're 2 different markets, even though they're in the same city. Like I said,
and the Angels play right across the street from the Ducks.
it just goes to more of the side that the Angels just aren't a successful team, and he's on an unsuccessful team a lot of years, and he plays the game quietly. There's no doubt about that. But you can market a passive player. I was telling you today, I don't think I've ever heard Mike Trout speak. They're interviewing her at the All-Star game, and I'm like, I don't even know what this guy sounds like. I'm a big Mike Trout fan, and I grew up an Angels fans, for those of you that don't know. They were horrible back in the day. I always liked them over the Dodgers because, Arizona didn't have a team, and I'm from the Anaheim area originally. Even though I've been in Arizona for so long, but anyway.
All right, enough about your backstory.
I know, enough about my backstory. But, so, I do favor that side more, but however, you can market a passive player's baseball. Get him out there more, do more commercials with him for Major League Baseball. Do, interviews with him more and stuff like that. Like, yeah, he doesn't do it during marketing time, but, like I said, I've never heard the guy speak until tonight. I don't think. I could be wrong. And I follow Mike Trout pretty well for a baseball team.
I think now, with the way we're going, obviously, it comes down to, everything's on Twitter, social media, all this stuff. Mike Trout doesn't need that to market himself. MLB needs to actually market these guys. But the problem is, MLB can't market Mike Trout because Mike Trout plays for the Angels, and what do the Angels do every year?
So.
Nothing. Like,
Well, that's my point.
and that's like the sad thing. Like,
you're not going to put the Angels on a marquee Saturday regional game unless they have a good team they're playing, because they're third place of their division right now and falling. So. No, and that was more of my point, was the where he plays in Washington for Bryce Harper. His team. He's got Scherzer. Name an Angels pitcher. Exactly my point.
yeah, Ohtani.
It's got even Pujols was big name, and not granted he's not the player he once was, but he was marketed in St. Louis left and right. He was a big name free agent that signed with the Angels.
I mean, the Angels went all in a few years ago when they got C.J. Wilson, Josh Hamilton, Albert Pujols. So it's like, these are our guys. We're getting them. All three, we're going to get them. They thought it was going to be great, and it wasn't. Like, it just did not work out for them.
Which happens to most baseball teams, but I don't know. It's just this big thing, and both. Bryce Harper's a free agent this year, and Trout's a free agent next year. So it'll be interesting to see, how the contracts pair out and where they decide to go. Because I think, Mike Trout's from the Philly area, I believe.
Yeah.
So Philly is going to make a big push for him. They've made no secret about it. He's just not that type of in-your-face player out there. So it's just always going to be. But I just find it interesting that... commissioner of the league basically calls out one of his players and blames him for not being marketed more. When, I gotta be honest with you, America, for the most part, would love Mike Trout's style. Like, Bryce Harper gets a lot of kudos for his tenacity and the way he plays baseball. But there's a segment of population out there, me, that isn't a showboaty type person, just go out there, do your own thing. There's a fine line, like I always hated the Matt Williams, hit a home run, put your head down, run the bases, play the game. I hate that stringent stuff. But, show some of the personality and do all that stuff. And if he's not going to do it, baseball needs to do it, and you don't have to put him on a marquee game or whatnot, but, you can run ads for him, on Major League Baseball. It's just in the same breath you're saying your best player, one of your best players but even Bryce Harper tonight called Mike Trout the best player in baseball during the All-Star game. And Major League Baseball can't figure out how to incorporate that into... Could you imagine basketball not marketing... Basketball gets a lot of crap for marketing their players, not the teams, because the players, goes to their heads, and then...
But it's a player-based league now.
Yeah. And so... But that's the way you have to go, because, there's a fine line between both of them. But if you can't market your best player in baseball, that everybody, including his counterparts, say is the best player in baseball, that's on your league, not on... Manfred does not need to be blaming Mike Trout for not being a marketing... He doesn't need to be outside. He doesn't need a poster in Under Armour to be known, I didn't even know Bryce Harper had one, and I know who Bryce Harper is.
Well, no, I mean, that brings up a perfect example to, like, Chin's point, too, where it's like, you can ask most Americans, they'd probably be like, what, But that's the thing with baseball, I think as a whole, is baseball is more of that regional thing, where, I mean, obviously, like, baseball guys, we know who that is. I mean, you don't have to be a basketball guy to know LeBron James, to know Kevin Durant, to know Golden State. You don't have to be a basketball person to know that, because it gets talked about. But whenever, you turn on a national show, I mean, we watch, The Herd with Colin Cowherd. They'll talk about it. He'll flat out say, he's like, oh, man, it's a good time of the year, the All-Star game, it's going to be on Fox. We don't talk a lot about baseball, because it's all regional, because, that's what it is. It's a regional thing. I mean, a lot of regional fans... I mean, obviously, you have your team that's going to be on your channel 162 games out of the year. But when it comes to, like, watching another team, like, I used to be this way when I was just a Ranger guy. I just watched Ranger games. And I get so bored watching other teams. But now, I mean...
you don't know them as well.
Right, but now it's like, I want to learn more about this because I want to see this guy play or whatever,
Well, it's regional because you want to know what the division's doing. You want to know what the other leagues are doing, in your region. Because, like... Yankees Red Sox, that always cracked me up about that when ESPN was hyping the Yankees Red Sox thing. Why do I care in Phoenix, Arizona about Yankees effing Red Sox? It's a 3-game series in September,
And it
Really,
didn't
I don't
matter if
care.
both teams were going for a playoff spot or not. It didn't matter. It could have been like Yankees are 15 games out.
But god dang it, the Dodgers play, so and so. It's like I want to know what the Dodgers do, because it affects your local team and it affects all that. Same thing in Atlanta. Do the Braves care what Seattle's doing right now? It doesn't affect them at all in their life or anything. So that's the problem that baseball's got. But I just found it interesting that during the All-Star game, the morning of the All-Star game, the commissioner basically calls out their best player. I mean, could you imagine any other sport? Imagine NFL calling out whoever, saying they need to be a bigger star, and it's their
Goodell,
fault.
he did call out Brady when he suspended him, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but that was... you could argue that suspending Brady was a brilliant marketing toy for the league because you got more fans behind New England and you got more fans to hate New England for cheating, and that's that's polarizing when they make it to the Super Bowl because everybody's going to tune in because you either want to see New England win or you want to see New England lose. You could argue that that's a brilliant marketing ploy.
But my old instructor at Illinois Media School, he would always say, when it comes to baseball, he was like, baseball still and will always be America's pastime, but NFL and football in general is America's passion.
What baseball?
We're more passionate about that. And then the NBA is actually stepping up their game now. They have the summer league on ESPN now, which
They're following football.
Congrats to
Who won?
the Portland Trailblazers. I guess they beat the. Did they beat the Lakers tonight?
Yeah, the Lakers lost them. I know the Lakers lost them.
It was the first time that two teams who played for the championship the year before in the summer league made it back to the championship the next year. So congrats to Trailblazers, Blazing Trails, doing something.
Well, yeah, that means they have good quality young players, so maybe they can start doing something in the league. But yeah, it just you got to find a way as a league to market your players and things like that. Even the not good ones, especially in baseball, because so many teams don't make the playoffs and so many teams are bad that even if your best player is on a bad team, you still got to market them and stuff. I mean, you can go even as far as do they even market Altuve in Houston and the other guy tonight that hit the home run that everybody knows? They don't even market Bregman. They don't even market those guys. And
Altuve was MVP last year. And they won the World Series.
Yeah, and they surprisingly came out of nowhere basically to win the World Series last year. And do they do any marketing to support that and
no.
rally people? So
the MLB has never been one of those. After the last pitch in the World Series, then the 27th out of the final game of the season, you don't care about baseball until opening day. I mean, here we obviously care.
Training, yeah.
I mean, here we obviously care because spring training. But if you're not in Arizona or in Florida and your team's in spring training, you're obviously gonna look and be like, oh man, so and so he got a 2-run jack. Hey, it looks like he's hitting the ball pretty good, But you're spring training. Here, obviously, we go to the games, and we still say that. We're it's just spring training, whatever. Let's not get all happy. But I think me and you will go to a game and we'll see this young pitching prospect. Oh, dude, he has a pretty lively fastball. He's looking pretty good.
The number 105.
Yeah, I wonder if he makes the team. Stuff like that. Guys wearing the faded jersey from 4 years ago. And you're like, oh man, he's looking pretty good.
And that's just the whole thing, is you gotta, I don't know. I got annoyed with the manager or with the commissioner tonight saying all that stuff, and it just made me think a little bit about all the marketing. And I did quick research, and not a lot of, people are criticizing him for saying what he said, but it just made me think more about, man, I'm your casual. I'm not the guy that doesn't pay attention. I'm the casual guy that pays attention. And the All-Star game was intriguing because I even texted you saying, hey, we're going to be back in town tonight. We're going to watch the All-Star game tonight. I was intrigued by the All-Star game this year for some reason. Years past I haven't been. And I'm the perfect casual baseball fan until the playoffs, and and it just made me think tonight, they don't market it out. If they marketed it better, I probably would pay more attention because they would pique my interest on a game on the weekend, even if it was a regional commercial. Do they even do Saturday Fox games anymore?
They do on FS1 now.
Yeah, see, I
So-
used to get up on a Saturday with nothing else on. This time of year, there's nothing else on, and I would have whatever baseball game was playing that Saturday. It didn't matter who it was.
Oh yeah.
It's always regional. I would actually have it on the television while I was doing stuff around the house. I don't remember the last time I did that. I don't
You
even
would
know.
watch Bill Nye, then you go over to a This Week in Baseball.
Say by the bell in the morning.
Yeah, you got Saved by the Bell Saturday. This week, Bill Nye, This Week in Baseball. Then you would go right into the game. Which man,
So
This
just-
Week in Baseball is such a great program back in the day.
His comments tonight has literally got my brain thinking about all the things that baseball used to do. I mean, maybe I'm not paying attention to it. Maybe I'm missing it all. But
Well, I think a lot of that too also has to do with, you look at the national sports shows, what's going to be the first topic they talk about tomorrow? It's not going to be the All-Star game.
Nope.
It's not going to be, Bregman. It's not going to be Trout. It's not going to be Rob Manfred making these comments.
Another guy
It's going to
going
be
to-
something about LeBron James. Something about, football. Something about, the Cowboys.
It'll be Machado going to the Dodgers. It'll be the dominating thing.
Yeah, but they're not going to talk about it in full detail
Yeah.
because you just don't talk about baseball, and that's comes down to a national thing. I don't understand either. I love baseball, but I think when it comes down to more people, we are so enthralled right now with the way gambling's set up when it comes to basketball, NFL. When it comes to baseball, though, people just don't care. The guy in Seattle could give rat's ass less about what's going on with the dude in Washington.
And they need to figure that out, or baseball is going to fall downhill quick. Because let's be honest, I'm not a sports gambler, but let's be honest, sports gambling drives sports. That's why the NFL is so popular. And baseball better figure out this gambling thing quick on how to capitalize on it, because people are going to leave their sport behind fast. We got to deal with crap like this. Brewers hater deeply sorry for old tweets. So tweets from old 12 come out some point today during the All-Star game that he's in,
Where he said,
And-
"Suck my cock, I'll murder your family."
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know what he said. So apparently he said that. I didn't read it.
Well, he tweeted it.
I don't care what a guy says back in 012. To be honest with you, but that's literally the headline right now on ESPN. That's ESPN on ESPN. The second headline is Dodgers get Machado, and then Brewers hater deeply sorry for old tweets.
And
Yay!
what's the third headline?
Go ahead, home run, Nabs Bregman All-Star Game MVP.
So they're pretty high on baseball right now, but tomorrow morning that's all going to change. It's going to just be dominated with NFL.
Well, I mean, the fourth thing is second-year tight end for the Cardinals gets arrested for being a jerk in Scottsdale. That's the fourth headline, is a second-ranked, nobody's heard of tight end. I mean, we've heard of him because he had a couple good games last year, but that's the fourth headline. And then the fifth headline is Manfred can't make Trout without his help. And then Katie wins another award, Humanitarian of the Year. So good job, Kevin Durant.
Good job winning that
But-
Humanitarian of the Year. Oh, by the way, ESPYs are tomorrow. You excited?
No, I'm not going to
Yeah.
watch it.
Me neither.
No,
Danica Patrick, she's hosting.
Good. Good for her. I hope she does
Do you
well.
think she's going to be funny?
No.
Because,
I
usually
do
they're
not-
pretty funny. Like, Peyton Manning was great.
I do not think Danica has a sense of humor.
I actually thought John Cena was hilarious when he did his 2 years ago.
He's
I think he's a horrible actor, but
Yeah, but
he
he's got
had time to
comedic timing.
he had time to rehearse.
He's
you
got
know, and
comedic
talk.
timing.
Yeah, so I mean,
I don't think Danica has a funny bone, so I think that's going to be her problem.
I think she's
is,
like a big bitch.
Like, well, I'll say it nicer than that. I just think that, like when you sing and you can't hear how bad you are, you're tone deaf. Like, she's like comedy deaf.
Yeah,
It's just like I watch her
like you'll
commercials.
see her in like her interviews too, where she'll
Yeah.
like say something and she thinks it's like snarky. She'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, and I did this," and I was like,
and everybody's
and it's
like, God, what a
don't know.
witch, man!
It's
Like,
like-
I can't believe she said that.
but she says it and she's laughing. It's like, oh, that must be like a woman joke. I don't know.
I watched her GoDaddy commercial earlier. It was on for some reason, She's like, "Oh, it's a business, whatever," and it made me not want to, go to GoDaddy. It was just like this weird.
Why are you locked into those 3 years with them right now?
Yeah, it's like I get this weird reaction when and it's just, she's just one of those people. I'm sure in person, like it's like politicians, you know, like Al Gore.
But
always...
we've seen her in person though, and she literally just stuck to herself.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. She definitely. Well, yeah, I definitely. That's not a good deal.
We saw her like
so.
a dirt track, you know, because obviously when she was dating Stenhouse, like Stenhouse is a dirt guy. He loves racing.
The Vegas one.
He just loves racing in general, and she's just like.
That's true. She kind of stood in the corner and acted like,
I hate racing, you know. Like, I don't know.
Forget that analogy I was just gonna give because I think you're right. I just think she's just. There's nothing wrong with being devoid of a personality, you know, but don't force it at the same. I feel like the ESPYs.
She looks like she's a riot at parties.
And I'll watch the highlights of the ESPYs tomorrow night probably because that's all ESPN will have on the next morning.
I'll try to find her opening segment. If I don't watch it live, I'll try to find that on YouTube because usually they do like the opening.
Yeah.
They'll like
and they make
pull up on YouTube, you know, where they make jokes about her. So I want to see like what her zingers are. Or if she even has any, you know, whatever. Like, maybe she makes one of herself for crashing.
I just don't see her making... Like, Peyton making fun of other people was... I mean, that's what Peyton does, right? And he's got a lot of friends out there.
And he's always been like that, too. Like, I remember an interview with him where he was talking about stuff, and he's like, yeah, you got that guy over in New England, too. And he just called him that guy.
Yeah. But, you know, John Cena, you know, can make fun of guys that he doesn't know. But it just seems like if Danica makes fun of, like, LeBron James for losing his fifth, you know, or whatever finals he just lost.
Yeah, it's like, what did you do with your life?
It's just it's just gonna come off with like, you know, Peyton can make fun of LeBron for losing in the finals, you know, because Peyton's done it a couple times.
I think the ESPYs are going to like a huge like women empowering show tomorrow night, so I'm not going to be interested in it at all.
I think this is just, you know, Danica is trying to rebrand herself as something other than a racing person with her businesses, and you know, the final two races this year was her farewell, but she talked more about her businesses and her future and all that. Like, I want to see her go on stage and make fun of Aaron Rodgers because they're no longer together.
I know.
Wouldn't that be awesome? But I don't think she has the guts. Like, that would be the funniest thing ever, right? Go out there and make fun of the breakup, right?
Like who dumped who? Do we even know who dumped who?
No, we don't. Yeah, I don't think maybe, we do. I didn't follow up on it.
Maybe she can be like, you know, me breaking up with Aaron wasn't the only thing that broke this year. Or like his collarbone, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe talk about that. I don't know.
You know, and I don't think she has the balls to do it. But that's what Peyton would do. That's what anybody else would do, right? So I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. But like I said, I'll watch the highlights or whatever. But I just think... I get why they do the ESPYs and everything, but the ESPYs long ago went from a fun award ceremony to a very serious one. You know, yeah, they crack jokes and all that stuff, but it's, you know, it's not like what it was.
Well, a few years ago, they kind of like, I mean, the whole like taking a knee movement kind of came in. It kind of went, you know, like, all right, guys, like, what are we going to do here, you know?
It's turned into the same thing that the Oscars, you know, that one guy that wins is going to go up there and bash the president, you know.
Do you think somebody says fuck Trump like Robert De Niro did? Or no, like...
Well, you got the chance of LeBron doing that. He hates the guy, right?
Yeah, so I mean, Greg Popovich, he could go up there and say he hates him.
Steve Kerr can go up there and make some political speech about... You know, it's turned into every other awards show that I used to love the Oscars and stuff, man. Like, the movies usually sucked that one, you know, but I enjoyed the event and the Oscars. And
I'm all about those MTV movie awards. They were always good.
Oh, those were the best, man. Eddie Murphy was the best.
Remember the popcorn. Yeah. Like, the trophies were great.
I'll never forget the one where Eddie Murphy was hosting and he walked out and he went to the ladies' bathroom. He's like, hey, what goes on in here? And he's live on MTV Music Awards. Anyway, that's a whole other story there. So, yeah, so that's baseball. So we'll see what happens with Mike Trout and Bryce Harper coming up here, but you know, Major League Baseball needs to do something. It's like you said with the gambling thing. You forget about the gambling thing because it's so new, but they're going to get left behind. I actually saw the other day, believe it or not, I don't remember where it was, but I actually saw that people are starting to put money on the Major League Soccer and stuff.
Yeah, like you can put money on everything now.
I know, but if you start gambling on Major League Soccer with, I don't even know who plays, you know, like Wayne Rooney's playing for DC United now. It's like the only thing I know about it. You know, if you can start putting money on like DC United now, I mean, that's going to surpass baseball in terms of that because people are going to watch that for the sporting side of it and things like that. So, speaking of soccer, though, World Cup ended. Congratulations, the Los Blues. France beat your Croatia team.
My Croatians finally.
I think in the preview I did say.
Let me down.
I think I did say in the preview that the second 16, that don't be surprised if France makes it to the end because they have such young players on that. So, I mean, overall, you're not a big soccer guy. What do you think of the tournament, the games you watched? I watched every game. Ironically enough, I missed the England.
You missed this entire weekend of games?
No, I listened to the France game. I missed the Croatia-England game. I couldn't find it on any radio station in South Dakota. So.
Last week that sent Croatia to the final.
I was on the road, so I missed that one. That Croatia beat England in penalty kicks of all things.
Yeah.
I did watch parts of it later. I was able to find it, but then I did listen to the final game on the radio. Which, don't watch soccer. Don't listen to soccer on the radio.
You have no idea what's going on?
Not very good, right?
I had no idea what was going on. I mean, obviously, so Sunday, I didn't realize the game started as early as it did. I was in New Mexico, leaving the racetrack.
Well, it's been 9 o'clock in New Mexico, right?
So, so I get in the car. I think it was like 10 o'clock. I, got on the road or whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, the game's on. I, looked at the, ESPN to see who was winning or whatever, and both their flags looked like almost the same. Like, crap, whose flag is which? I mean, France doesn't have the little...
You watching on your phone while you're driving?
France has a little thing in the deck. So I put it up on Fox Sports 1 while I was driving.
I tried doing that.
Had the Bluetooth rolling.
But, okay... I'm gonna go off on a side rant here. Okay, South Dakota, I get it. You're rural, but seriously, cell phone service, man. Cell phone service.
Build a tower
somewhere. Just put a tower up somewhere.
We're putting a wall on the border. You guys can't build a cell tower.
I literally spent a week with limited cell phone service with a 10 and a 7-year-old that have phones and are used to cell phone service.
Terrible.
Anyway, side note.
So you get the rental car that has Wi-Fi in it.
Yeah, but it works off a cell phone thing.
Oh,
so
really?
The rental car has
So the Wi-Fi's a big lie?
Yes, it only works off cell towers.
It's a sham? Jeez.
So you don't have cell service in your phone. You don't have cell service in your car either, apparently.
That's lame.
And that's what I found out. So I know I told you that. I was looking up to see what it takes and how much money I'll be charged to do it, and it said I wouldn't. So I was like, sweet.
But no, I enjoyed the World Cup. Whatever, every 4 years I get excited about it. I know some people are like, man, we should just be every 2 years. But they do have the Women's World Cup, which I love the women's.
Well,
they're good.
See, but a true soccer fan knows they have the Euro Cup in 2 years.
And you got the Euro, you got the Copa.
Yeah.
We have the Copa America, whatever the heck they have. And, I've been watching those things.
You've always got a worldwide, or at least a regional soccer tournament, at least every year. But, the odds came out for 2022, and France is Brazil's the leader for 4 years from now. They have future odds already for teams.
And the teams are going to be like half dismantled in those times.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Guys are going to get injured, and stuff like that. Soccer players take a beating on their bodies because they play for their club team. Then they got their national duty schedules, and all that stuff. They take a serious beating.
And you could tell, too, Croatia, they had 5 extra time games, I think, in this tournament.
Yeah, they
and you could tell they were just gassed at the end, too.
The guys on the radio. Well, I told you, too, once Croatia won. Well, I told you whoever, England or Croatia won, I was like, France is winning this thing. It's not even going to be close against either one of them. So I told you that going into it. But France just has those young players that are selfish as can be. And you got to give the hats off to France. That that 19-year-old kid that's that's going to be a superstar if he's not already. Played out of his mind. He played like a team player and stuff like that, which was my worry going into it with France. So, well, I do feel better about my picks though because I was listening to a national guy that is from England obviously, but now he's here for MLS, and he was like, "Man, don't listen to my preview because it's all man." Because every team, it was everybody, nobody predicted Croatia moving on, and
I did. I picked them.
So, besides Jason, well, the thing about this World Cup is, just to summarize it was the most exciting World Cup you've ever seen. If you've never seen soccer before and you didn't give this World Cup a chance, you missed out because I think there was only one 0-0 game, the whole tournament. There was a lot of 5-4 games, 4-3 games, exciting.
A lot of games going to penalty kicks.
A lot of games where people scored in the stoppage time to either win the game or tie the game. This was the most teams that normally, this is like the NCAA tournament is the best way you can do it, where you always want to see upsets, but you always want to see 1 or 2 seeds in the Final Four. You never want to see 4 15 seeds, because that would just be awful.
I would love that.
And that almost happened in this World Cup. No, it'd be the most horrible. You'd watch it, but that'd be the most horrible horrible Final Four ever. You want to see Kansas and Duke and those guys in those Final Fours.
Well, I think for your bracket, you always want to see Kansas and Duke in there.
You want to see.
You always want to see that one team, get beat. Like Virginia when they got beat this year.
Yeah.
Early on, obviously that was exciting. Having Loyola go on their run, that was pretty exciting.
What was exciting about this tournament was, Brazil gets knocked out. Germany didn't make the extra 16. So, if you didn't watch this tournament and you're a soccer fan, first of all, shame on you because you missed out on. Like I said, this is one of the best World Cups. I'm not going to say in my lifetime because I watch them all, but I've never had the time to watch them like I did this year.
I think one of the best ones actually was that one back whenever OJ was on his chase there.
But normally
jogging right past the stadium.
and soccer gets a bad rap in America because 0-0 games, they're slow paced. Those days of soccer are gone. The skills way up, the artistry's way up, the ball movement's way up. These guys are playing a lot more games with their league play and stuff like that. And soccer is just going to continue to get better. You're not going to see 5-4 games every game, but even then, a 1-0 or 2-1 game, is going to be an exciting game. Now the championship game was kind of a bore because it ended up being 4-2.
Yeah,
something like that.
I started watching at 2-1, and then I was, even the Brockers, like, man, it's a typical Croatia game. They've been dominating, then France, they would just, get the ball, do these, boom, we're in there. They had that breakaway, the guy got it on a rebound to make it, 3-1 right there. I was like, great. Then they went up 4-2, real quick. Once again, then, Croatia was kind of put in the back, and it was like, did they have another one in them? They scored that one goal to make it 4-2, but it was just like,
Usually in a championship game, the favorites... It's usually like a tussle at the beginning because they're feeling you don't want to be the team that loses the game, meaning you don't want to be the guy that's aggressive and then you give the other team another chance. So usually it's a little sluggish at the beginning and then it'll open up. So I think that kind of happened a little bit from what I saw. But the other thing that ended this week is we're gonna have our tennis talk right now.
Tennis talk. Wimbledon is over. For
Wimbledon won.
Fans.
And I know Serena lost in the finals for the women. I actually listened to that on the radio.
They actually played on the radio?
Yes.
Where you were at?
Yes.
Wow.
I know, right?
How was that? Were they quiet during the whole thing? Were they Serena?
No.
Did you just hear the woman go,
No.
Or were they
let me rephrase that.
Serena hits it back?
Let me rephrase that. I listened to it on the radio, meaning I was listening to a radio broadcast where they were telling us what was going on, meaning they were talking about the game.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, they weren't and she hits it across court to the right. No, not that at all. Yeah, no. So,
because I listened to was it the Masters that we were listening to?
Yeah.
And it was actually pretty exciting stuff because you had the one guy who was just like a bro.
Yeah.
He just did some bro things. They had the one guy who was talking. He's like, and here goes Phil up for his second shot here on this par 5. And Phil, he's gonna try to hit over to the green. Yes, he got that one about 3 feet from the pin.
Yeah.
And then the other guy comes in. And he's like, yeah, man, Phil, he just raked that ball right there. Boom, landed right there, right on the green, man. That was great stuff. Great shot by Phil.
It was basically I think I was telling you that that the radio stations in South Dakota, from what I found, it was either national shows, and because it's July, a lot of the national guys are off, so it was all these fill-in guys. So literally, it was 2 guys you've never heard of on ESPN that were Serena's up 3-2 in the second round, and then they tell you more about it. So that's what it was.
Okay.
But I knew she lost right when she lost it, and then whoever lost in the men, some guy I've never heard of won the other one. But that's not my whole point of this. So congratulations, Wimbledon winners! Yay!
You won a giant plate. Congrats!
Yeah,
Go down. You won a platter.
I think I told you I grew up watching tennis because of my grandmother. But do you know what's the difference between men and women's tennis balls?
I would assume maybe the women's is smaller, like most sports. Except for softball, their ball's bigger, but in WNBA, their ball's smaller.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't even know that. No, they're the same size. That's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess nothing then.
No. Well, okay. So, at Wimbledon, they play with the same size ball and everything's the same at Wimbledon. But the U.S. Open, the men's have fuzzier balls.
They got fuzzy balls?
The women have fuzz on their balls, but the men have fuzzier balls.
No, the women just have a little fuzz.
Yeah,
got a nice little landing strip going on there with their balls.
Everything's the same. This is.
I was going to ask if it was like the density of the balls, because you do see those balls that are like really fabricy.
The men's balls are fuzzier. I'll tell you why I heard this, by the way, because it was funny. The men's balls are fuzzier because it slows down the ball. The women's balls are less fuzzy because it speeds them up. That's why in certain tournaments they'll say like, "Oh, Serena hit the same speed as so and so on the men's side." Well,
but really, the ball, there's not enough.
It's not every tournament.
Right.
U.S. Open for one, but Wimbledon they play with the same ball. But so they can manipulate the ball that way or whatever. So anyway, one of the channels you get in South Dakota is NPR. And that was literally
a story.
It was a 30-minute conversation where I swear to God I didn't know they were talking about tennis balls. It was just what men and women's balls are different, and these types. It took me 10 minutes to figure out they were talking about tennis.
Like, well, yeah, obviously women don't have those.
Kids are sleeping in the back, and I'm just like, what the hell am I listening to? I didn't know it was NPR.
You thought you pulled up the porn channel on the Sirius?
I'm like, what in the world?
Listen to Howard Stern radio.
But so it made me look, and there's talk about in golf having the men use bigger balls because they hit it so far, So that's how sports are, and that kind of goes to I guess it would go the same thing like with the WNBA, like you said, playing with the smaller balls that allows them to go better or whatever. So, but no, I just found that fascinating about tennis that they try to manipulate the game. And the ball sizes will differ. Andy Murray in 2004. This is what happens in my research because I was curious about this after I was in this conversation for 30 minutes in the middle of nowhere. Andy Murray got pissed off in like a Miami tournament back in like 2016 or something because they gave him women's balls to play with in his match, and he got pissed off about it because he didn't want to play with them because he was used to playing with men's balls that were fuzzier.
Men's balls.
Oh my God.
I love it. The fuzzy balls.
The best part is they call them, let me find it here. Oh my gosh, why can't I stall real quick while I find that what they call
speaking of the WNBA, like did speak earlier, shout out to my Dallas Wings out there in Dallas.
I can't believe
Liz Cambridge set the WNBA single game scoring record with 53 points tonight, so that was pretty exciting stuff. So congrats to all the Dallas Wings faithful and the players and stuff like that. This is like their third year, so big things happen over there in Wing Nation.
So the women's use regular duty balls.
Regular duty balls is
yes,
what they call them?
That's what it's called. And I'm sorry. I can't believe I can do this. The men use extra duty balls.
Extra duty balls. I like it.
So there you go, folks. When it goes to the thing, I mean, baseball's been accused of doctoring balls. Even tonight we saw a tweet from somebody, I don't remember who it was now, but an ex-player
that was... Michael Young?
Michael Young,
out?
Yeah. He tweeted out that, back in 2005, because they had, 10 home runs in the All-Star game tonight?
Yeah,
they were just bombing them. But, he tweeted out that, hey, these home runs are great, but keep in mind that in 2005 All-Star game batting practice, he hit one to dead center field and left field, and he never hit a ball that far in his life, and he's doing it at the All-Star game.
Yeah, he said, these hitters are so great, but during BP at the All-Star game in 2005, I hit a ball off the car in dead center field at Detroit, then one off the statue in deep left. I had never ever sniffed that distance before. You'll never convince me that they can't make these balls go farther.
Yeah.
Where that's like the big question. I mean, obviously big issue here in Arizona is
the humidor.
The humidor that's, players can't get the balls out. So everybody thinks the D-backs are having issues getting, hitting home runs at home. But you see, road teams come in here and just, crank them out.
Jack
so it's I don't know, whose balls are getting humidored here? Maybe they're hitting fuzzier balls. I don't know, what these guys are doing. But
no, but, I mean, there's definitely no doubt. I mean, that's just an eye-opener that, I mean, tennis has figured out, that they can manipulate balls to either help performance or inhibit performance. Oh my God! At Wimbledon, did you see those two players that they played an 18-hour match or something right before the finals?
No.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, they were just exhausted. It was crazy. I don't remember. Well, the one guy that was in the finals and lost it is the guy that did it. But they had like 19 tied things. It went on forever. They had to push the other semifinal game off until the next morning because curfew happened. So
Really?
But yeah, so I mean, balls can be manipulated. Baseball's been accused of it for years, but it's definitely something these sports league. And while I was doing the research, like I said, there was recent talk about men's golfers using different balls than what you can buy off the shelf. Because what isn't one of the rules in golf? You have to use. It doesn't have to be a ball that I can walk in and buy, but it has to be the same. You know, it has to be similar to a ball that I can buy. So there's actually talk of them making them use bigger balls or something like that, or changing the ball somehow, so golfers have a tougher time swinging the ball in there, you know, not getting the distance on it and stuff like that. So,
Yes. American John Eisner and South American Kevin Anderson had a fifth set, 6 hours and 36 minutes.
yeah, that was just a fifth set.
But surprising, though, that was not the longest match in Wimbledon history.
Isn't the
Actually,
same guy in it?
Eisner, yes, in 2010 played an 11-hour first-round match, extending over 3 days with a final set score of 70-68.
I remember that
More
match.
than 11 sets, going 6-6. So
That was just a few years ago, right?
yeah, that was in 2010. So the same guy. I mean, obviously, if you draw him in Wimbledon, be prepared to play.
Yeah, right. Well, that was the thing on whatever the next day was on that. The ESPN fill-in host that I was listening to on the radio were just railing on how tennis needs a tiebreaker. This is just ridiculous. It's not fair to everybody. Because then, like I said, the next match went into nighttime, so they had to cancel it and they had
Right.
curfew, and it was for the finals too. So then that guy played a 10-hour tennis match. Like, he's got nothing for the finals, right?
Right.
So that's what the ESPN guys were like, we need to do. All of a sudden, ESPN,
They're railing on
guys
the
cared. It was an hour conversation
on the pro
about
tennis. Like,
how they need to get they need to figure out how to do a tiebreaker or something. And it was like, oh my god, this, like, I need to find.
these tennis purists, they're just coming in here.
And I was telling you, I couldn't even put on like Pandora or anything because cell phone signal was so bad. So I was just stuck listening
to
it.
fuzzy balls, tennis talk, and
The NPR
God
thing was
knows
just
what.
classic. I'm literally like, what are these people talking about?
But no, anyways, let's bring it back to America, I guess. Some big things going on in the football realm, not just here in Arizona. I guess we can touch on that first, obviously, since we are here in Arizona. But big news coming out today. Actually, I guess you can say two big stories in Arizona that kind of link up to each other. Cardinals did suspend their GM, Steve Keim, for 5 weeks, starting immediately, and also fined him $200,000, dating back to a July 4th arrest on a suspicion of driving under the influence.
.19 extreme DUI in Arizona.
.193 extreme DUI is has defined by the Blood Alcohol content of .15 or more, and he had a .193. So
For those of you not from Arizona, Maricopa County does not mess around with drunk driving.
yeah, .08 is like all you need, which is like 2 beers and you're done.
But even then, at .08, they throw the book at you, and it's not cheap.
Right.
It's expensive. You're doing jail time. License is suspended for a year. Like, they don't mess around here at all. So,
So Cardinals actually are set to report to camp here in 10 days. First practice coming on July 28th. So
I mean, they're in deep negotiations with David Johnson to, get him a new contract. So that's kind of throws in upheaval. But two thoughts on this is, one, he's the face of the franchise, so bad decision making, at that point. You've got to be smarter than that. Two, I've heard a lot of people come out today, a couple of local hosts are saying it's going to cause rifts in the locker room because last year, who was the receiver?
Michael Floyd.
Michael Floyd gets cut. There's major differences between the two because Michael Floyd hit it and lied to the owner, Michael Bidwell, about it and said he, didn't notify him. Steve Keim literally called him as soon as he got out of jail. He basically called everybody and said, "Here's what I did." He pleaded guilty today. He's not even going to fight it. His $200,000 fine is going to the deal. The NFL does not need to punish him any more than the Cardinals did. That came out today.
Yeah, the Cardinals, they said they were very, open with the NFL about what they're doing. NFL said, all right, do what you got to do. That's fine, because it's a different, obviously it's a different deal because, the NFLPA and everything like that.
Yeah, it's negotiated.
He's not a player. He is a GM.
You're the face of the franchise. Like, I'm one of those guys that, like, okay, so don't drink and drive, people. Like, don't drive drunk. That's just stupid. You're gonna hurt somebody or yourself or whatever. But I'm one of those people that people make mistakes. You're not in the right mindset. You're gonna make a mistake, and this is his second one, from what I understand. He had one when he was younger, so I get that. And I also get, because I've seen a lot of people lose their regular jobs because they get one, because of the jail time, the time it takes to fight it. Insurance changes. You can't drive the company car.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. So people lose their jobs every day to this deal. And so I'm actually surprised he didn't get fired, to be 100% honest with you. But at the same time, I'm glad he didn't get fired, because I think people are allowed to make mistakes in life.
And that's why a lot of people were kind of like, oh no, we're Michael Floyd and all that stuff. Which
people are not on my side on that opinion. The majority of the people are like, he should be fired immediately. He should never be able to step foot in an NFL thing again.
But here's the thing, though, too. If you fire Steve Keim right now, who are you going to find to replace him? With Michael Floyd, he wasn't that great of a wideout. You can find somebody to replace Michael Floyd.
It doesn't matter. Floyd's problem was he lied to the owner, to his face, from what I understand and what we read. Steve Keim did none of that. Like, he literally called head of security, he called the owner, he even called the NFL directly and told them what had happened before anything else happened. Like, he did the proper steps.
Yeah, we didn't hear about it until everybody knew. With Michael Floyd, we found out before they found out, because we were watching the news at 10 o'clock at night.
They found out the same way we found out that Michael Floyd got arrested in Scottsdale. That's how the team found out. So, I mean, there's big differences, and I know, it's, so it's one of those things where it's plus or go, but you got to give kudos to the Cardinals, man. This is the busiest time of the year for a GM. Like, free agency isn't a very busy time for him, because that's just negotiating contracts and.
Well, they just missed the franchise tagline, so I think they're in the clear right now for a little bit.
No, 5 weeks is training camp, man. Training
camp starts in 10 days.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're bringing guys in, you're taking guys out, you're trying to negotiate with David Johnson. Now, he doesn't do all of that stuff. He's got assistants. He's whatever the assistant GM is. The owner's Michael Bidwell's highly involved, from what I understand, with the Cardinals. He can easily step in and negotiate stuff. They know who to sign if so and so goes down. Let's say a wide receiver gets arrested for being a jerk in Scottsdale on a random Saturday, and they have to cut him, right? They know who they can bring in to replace him as a replacement type of a deal. Like, they have lists on all that. So it's not like, but at the same time, it is not convenient. It would have been easier to say you're suspended for the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah, just not have him show up to the game.
Yeah, and there's a lot less work from week 1 to week 5 than there is this time of year.
He gets a vacation, but I guess it's like
no
vacation.
He's going to be
doing his rehab, his defensive driving and stuff like that.
Besides all of his
the Cardinals said he has to go through like a program before he comes back.
He's going to have to do all that for legal stuff and everything. But then the Cardinals imposed other things on him. So like he's going to do jail. He's going to do 3 or 4 days jail time, which in Arizona, that's what is mandatory. Or house arrest or something like that. He's going to get like 12 days of house arrest. All these fines. He's going to have to go to all these classes. He's going to have the breathalyzer, blah, blah, blah. But then the Cardinals employ and put other stuff on him that he has to do during this 5 weeks also. So.
I'm going to fire up LinkedIn right now and see if the Cardinals are hiring a personal driver for Steve Keim. That could be something too.
I think
that could be something too.
Yeah. Cardinals aren't Jerry Jones. They don't hire that stuff for the troublemaker players. So, that's he had a brand new 2018 like F-150. Like, the thing looked nice, man.
Yeah, I got it from Sanderson Ford.
I don't think they wanted a plug on that.
Oh, sorry.
So that's the big news today, and then
other big news coming out. Not a random wideout like you made note to, but random tight end Ricky Seals Jones faces a 3 misdemeanors right now. Faces assault, disorderly conduct charges after a hotel altercation in Scottsdale. He was arrested on Saturday night after a scuffle ensued when he was denied entrance to the W Scottsdale to use the bathroom. According to the Scottsdale police, Seals Jones, horrible name, was charged with assault, disorderly conduct, and third-degree criminal trespassing after he pushed a member of the hotel security team who was working at the front entrance of the hotel. Police said that he appeared to be drunk, had bloodshot, watery eyes, tried to enter the hotel through the main entrance to use the restroom, but was told the hotel was open only to guests at that time. So he then walked over to the entrance of a sushi restaurant that's connected to the hotel and entered after removing ropes that were set up to block non-guests from entering. He told police that he went over the ropes because he wanted to use the restaurant's bathroom. I think, obviously, I told you this earlier, we gotta set up more bathrooms around these areas, man. Like, you can't...
If you haven't been to downtown or Old Town Scottsdale, you don't know what Jason's talking about.
But even like...
there's so many drunken...
bar areas.
College kids and adults away from their wives for the weekend and that are just out of control. But that is a problem in these areas is... Even if you're in a bar and can use their bathroom, it's like 2 stalls. Like, there's 300 people in here, and everybody's been drinking 700 Coors Lights. Everybody's got to go to the bathroom for 10 minutes at a time. Yeah. And you have 2 stalls in here.
We need more public bathrooms, all right? This is an outcry for more public restrooms. Well, I think Seals Jones just opened up the eyes of many. So put that on the bill. Let's make bill number 1 pass, and we'll get more bathrooms.
Okay, so he was just being a jerk in public. Yeah, like he wasn't drunk driving or anything, so he's going to get whatever discipline comes by the Players Association, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he wasn't driving drunk or anything bad like that. However, the thing that alarms me on this is Seals Jones was held down by the hotel security until police arrived on the scene. If you can't outrun fat whatever hotel security, I used to work in hotels, there's nobody that I felt threatened by, and he got held down by him.
Well, the W is a nice place.
How's he gonna go up against, I want to see these security guys, because how's he gonna go up against a linebacker across the middle and catch a freaking ball if he gets held down by hotel security? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you might just want to cut him now. I mean, you look, dude, I already know how your season's going to go. You're cut. Like, this has nothing to do with you getting arrested. You were held down by hotel security guards. Like, one was a female who was like 5'10",
That's what I mean. I want to see these guys. Like, it's one thing, if they're like, I don't, the bouncer type you see in movies, It's
right.
one thing if they're, like a defensive lineman. It's one thing if
you're not getting
like
Dalton at the W Hotel, like, getting ready to karate chop somebody like Roadhouse,
It's like, that's what I want to see at this point. That's what worries me about this.
Let's go to the W Hotel actually tomorrow. Let's make a trip. We'll go to the W Hotel. We'll see who. See the guy ours. Let's even get an interview with the dude. Like, hey man, you might do an interview. Like, you held down Seals Jones.
Security people aren't allowed to talk with news people. I already know that.
Well, we're not news people.
Well,
we're just everyday Joes.
We just want to know about the Seals Jones incident of 2018, please.
Of 2 days ago.
Yeah. So we can joke.
The thing I don't like though
we could joke around about it because he was just being a jerk in public. Like, unfortunately, in that area, a lot of people are. But
the thing I don't like about the arrest though is like when they do they obviously show his mugshot. And in his mugshot, he's like smiling, just so happy, like he's happy as can be right there, man. Like, check out this picture. He just looks like he's like, yeah, what's up, guys? Got arrested today.
I know. The story has changed because, like, earlier I told you that one of the security guys said, he put his hand on me and it felt like a lineman, it felt like a lineman taking on the defensive lineman taking on somebody. And I was like, this guy knows exactly who he's messing with right here. If you're going to give that analogy, because I never played in the NFL. I never played college football by any stretch. But I've known a few NFL players, and trust me, there's a difference between a Larry Fitzgerald pushing you and a defensive lineman pushing you. There is a large difference.
It's like, so remember the story last year? I mean, obviously it wasn't like nothing came of it, but when Ezekiel Elliott was at a bar on I think it was like random Sunday night, Tuesday night, whatever, and there's a punch that was thrown. The bouncer's like, oh, is that guy over there? he knew who he was talking about. It comes out the guy who like was trying to like blame Elliott for the whole thing was an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Like the guy like was that black guy over in that area. It was him. It was him. I know. I can't put my picture on where I know him from, but he comes in here a lot.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. It's
well, especially, and I'm not saying this is a deal for Ricky Seals Jones because, like I said, I mean he had. I recognized the name when I saw it just because I was like, yeah, he had that like one big catch in that one. I can't even tell you what game it was, but he had like a game where he just was like balls out and won the game.
He has 12 receptions over his career, 200 yards, which is pretty good, like reception yards total.
He's only been in the league for a year or two.
Yeah,
right?
1 year and then 3 touchdowns.
Texas A&M.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a solid young guy, and they got high hopes for him. But like I said, you're not picking him out of a lineup, in the deal. But that's what raised my. But it's out of the story now, so now I'm kind of wondering, like, all right, are people changing their stories now on what actually happened? So I mean, you get told you can't go into a building, and the police get called. You're getting arrested for trespassing, and then if you're being a douche about it on top of it and being held down, you're gonna get all the extra charge. It'll get pled down to something ridiculous like trespassing or whatever.
It's just misdemeanors, so it won't be that hard. He'll just have to pay a fine. He won't have to do.
He'll have to go to like stupid like alcohol classes or something.
Yeah, maybe like anger. Well, he didn't have anything alcohol involved. They just said he might have been drunk, so they didn't like run his BAC or anything.
No, but they said he might be drunk.
It'll probably be like you need to go like anger counseling maybe because you shouldn't be pushing people.
I've been to the W Hotel a few times. I don't think you're allowed in that place if you haven't been drinking at those bars right next door.
Yeah,
they're like, have you been next door? No, then you can't come in here, sir.
Like I remember I went to the one in Dallas because I had to use the bathroom, and me and my buddies, I forgot where we were at, but we were like getting ready to walk to like I think we were like going like Monday Night Raw, so we were like drinking beforehand at one of the local establishments, and we were walking in. I was like, man, I really gotta pee, and like the line to get in was like so long. I was like, oh my god, I'm about to explode. So I like walked into it. This is for guests only. I was like, F off, like I wanted to do the same thing that Ricky.
Well, they do that in those party areas like that because they're tired of drunken a-holes going in and messing up their bathrooms.
Which makes sense. I get it.
Even the restaurants are that bad up there and everything too. Like, you're trying to buy like a pack of gum.
Right. You walk into like a 7-Eleven, like, I'm always that guy who feels bad, like when I go into like, say, because we'll go like road trips, like we'll go to Vegas or whatever.
On this,
and we'll stop at like Love's.
Yeah.
And like, we just park. It's like, all right, I gotta use the bathroom. It's like, are you buying anything? Like, I gotta like buy something.
See,
now.
Love's
like,
you can sneak in and out of, but I got a funny story.
I still feel bad about it.
I'm the same way. I think most people would be. So we had to stop because my 7-year-old daughter needed to go to the bathroom, and like nobody was hungry, nobody wanted anything, and like so there's a Taco Bell. So we stopped at this Taco Bell. And we go in, there's nobody in this Taco Bell. So every worker like sees us walk in. And I'm like, oh, bathrooms are right there. So we walk over there and we're not buying anything, So we're standing there. And as we go, but the drive-thru line was like kind of long, but nobody was inside. So we're standing there. I literally like proclaim when she comes out, okay, you ready? We'll just order food in the drive-thru. So I'm actually like telling the workers that we're going to go get in the 10-car drive-thru. Instead of order food where nobody's in the restaurant, just so I don't feel like a douche for using the bathroom and walking. And we just drove off.
And then they see you like leaving, and they're like, "That son of a bitch, he's leaving. He used our bathroom, and he is leaving."
One of those guys. Write down that license plate. Oh my god, yeah. So we did that quite frequently on this trip. Yeah, so we did it in a Circle K.
You lied in front of your kids. How's that make you feel?
Yeah. Well, it made me feel better that the poor workers didn't think I was using their bathroom and leaving. I was going to buy something.
Like at Circle K, I'll get away with it, like, because I always pull up.
They don't notice you, though.
I always just, like, pull up, because, like, no one here, I mean, at night or whatever, and, like, I go, like, out to the bar or something like that. There'll be, like, 3 cars, getting gas. I always, like, pull up into, like, the gas. The gas pump. I always pull up to the gas pump, and I go inside, and I use the bathroom. And then I come out and just get in the lead. It makes for an easier exit. I don't want to. I hate backing up and backing in.
I'm not. So. Yeah. That's the reason.
Well, last time I backed up a Toyota, I ran over your daughter. So
I know. You just announced that on whatever, man. God dang.
She's okay.
she's at the hospital. She's good now. Don't worry about it. Jeez.
We had to lie to her mama. What happened?
Oh my god! You might listen to this.
Okay.
No, I have actually proclaimed like in a Quick Trip before. Like, you know, it's a Quick Trip's a fancy gas station out here, like all through the Midwest, Oklahoma and stuff. But I've actually like gone in a previous life. I was a sales rep, so we're in the car a lot. I've actually gone in before, walked out, and literally like patted my butt, like I was looking for my wallet, and I've actually like said to myself, like, oh, I left the wallet in the car, and then walked out because like the people in there pay attention to you, they talk to you and stuff. So I've actually done that before because I felt bad.
I want to hear stories from the listeners. Like, if you have a story of a time that you have like, because we can't be the only ones that do this, right?
No.
Like, I feel like the majority probably does this, right?
I wouldn't have ever admitted I did it until you said you did. So then I'm like, well, then I'm not the only one. Sweet. Yeah, like I've actually, like I can recall times where I've like patted my butt, you know, because I don't carry my wallet in my back pocket. And I knew it was in the car, but I patted my butt and been like, oh, I left my wallet in the car. And I hear walk out and drive off.
I've done that. Like, I've gone to like the mall, like, you know, a few times where like I'll have like a shirt, like, man, I really like this shirt, you know, and then like I start walking up and like I start like looking like, man, they have like a discount on this shirt, like there are like sales going on. It's like, man, this is like a $45 shirt.
And then you put it in the wrong spot.
And you're like, I gotta get out of here, and then just like, oh man, my wallet, you know, like.
But then you put it in the wrong spot, and you feel because you don't know where it goes. So you put it in the wrong spot, and you just like, oh, I'll get this. Like, you ever done that where you're like, oh, I'll just put this here, and then you start looking at other stuff, and then you just conveniently forget you left it in the wrong spots.
Like, there are those like times, you know, where you can like, I mean, you can walk into a store, obviously. Like, we went to the Buckle, you know, a few months back when we were looking for something, and I actually bought a pair of sunglasses, but you know, if I didn't buy this pair of sunglasses, we would have just been like,
no, you're just looking.
But yeah, I didn't see
That's
anything.
different.
And, you know, you can say thanks, but you actually like have something, like you're waiting in the line to buy, and then you're like, nah.
You've tried it on. You walked
And
around
you're like,
for
wait,
10 minutes.
am I really about to drop $120 on this? No, I'm not. I gotta leave. Like, think smart, Jason. Don't do this. So you like just like kind of put it back, and then like, oh man, my wallet's in the car. Like, you proclaim.
But you say it loud enough so people hear you, but not too loud so you look douchey. Right?
Yeah, they're like, oh, he left his wallet in the car. He'll be back. Like, do you think they're like waiting for us to come back in? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, they're like, oh, I hope that guy comes back because I really don't want to fold that shirt again. For some reason, I folded that shirt 7 times in the last week. Why does everybody keep forgetting their wallet?
It's like, where did we go? We went for your stuff for the Kentucky Derby. Because they get commission off that sale, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many people do you think are like, oh my god, I mean, because you spend a pretty penny on your Derby stuff. Like, how many people do you think are like, oh my god, I'm about to like drop $800 on this suit. What the hell? I didn't even shop around. And then they're all like,
it wasn't $800.
No, we went to what, DSL? DXL?
Yeah, DXL, yeah.
How many people do you think are like in there and they're like, hang on, I'll be back on the wall in the car, and then they just drive away like, no, do not get that.
Well,
Think
that's
smart.
the thing, like,
and then they're like, oh man, I just missed on that commission.
Well, that's the thing, like,
now you're screwing somebody feeding their family.
You waste their time, or they can allergy thing too. But well, no, that's the thing. Like, you know, like if you notice, like I looked around when she wasn't helping me. But when she was helping me, I was like focused on what I wanted and what to try on. And then like after we were done and everything, I was like, all right, let's go. Like I wasn't gonna waste any more of her time.
Right.
Like, you know, because I knew what I was gonna get. I even told you I was like, I'm gonna spend a lot on this. Like I even told you that. Like I don't know what I'm spending, but I can tell you right now I'm spending a lot. But you know, the service is just so good in there. I told you I equated to like Pretty Woman when she walks in the deal. But yeah, I mean, could you imagine like you go through all that? We were there for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And the lady's like getting all these shirts and pants and like matching them up, and you know she made me look awesome, which is the whole point of going there and spending that money. But could you imagine getting up to the register and being like, I'm sorry, oh hold on, my wallet, and walking out?
Right, like.
No, I only do that for Twinkies and bathrooms.
Dr. Peppers and Reese's, that's the only thing I do it for.
That's one thing I have done before, where I've done that like you too, where like being in a Quick Trip or whatever, and like the line's just long. And it's like, I'm committed to standing here. And then it just takes longer. So then you, like, literally just, like, look over, like, the chip aisle or whatever. And you put your drinks in the chip aisle.
Yeah, you don't put it back in the fridge. You just, like... There's that display of, like, Coors Light right in the front. So you just, like, boom. There's Gatorade and Skittles on there for you, too.
Actually, I do that at the grocery store all the time. Like, the kids will put something in a basket. And I'm like, we're not getting that. Or they'll change their mind, you know, because I let them get one thing. And then we'll go to another one. They're like, I want this. I'm like, we got to put something back. And then they give it to me. And they're like, where do I put it back at? And I'm like, just right here. And they're like, but this isn't where. And I'm like, just put it right there with the noodles. It doesn't matter.
It's ice cream, Dad.
Yeah. So anyway, a little off subject there, but Oh my god, it's hilarious.
But yeah, like I was saying, let's get more bathrooms in Scottsdale, please. All right, let's avoid this.
It's everywhere though. I mean, you know.
It is. It is.
Like you have to drive out of your way. Like at least Circle K's now, the newer Circle K's out like where we live, the newer ones have bathrooms in them that don't have locks and key codes in them. You know, you go to bad areas of towns, they still do.
I know. I remember I went to one when I was in Illinois. Like I just left the gym, and I was like driving back, and I was like, man, I really should have like went to the bathroom at the gym. And like I get like 2 blocks down the road. I'm like, all right, I really got to go now. So like I go to the place, like, you guys have a bathroom? I'm like, oh yeah, it's for customers only. God damn it, you know. So I'm like, all right, well I need a can of dip. So I'll buy a can of dip. Then they give me the key, and you go
with a giant hubcap on it.
Yeah, so you get the key. It's
or
like
a spoon.
They got like yardsticks nowadays. They're just like huge. It's like, what do I even do with this? Like, this thing is so nasty. Like, and then you get the bathroom. The bathroom's just horrible and like just rank. And you're like, oh. Over by the car wash, you're like, great, you know.
Think
like,
how many people freaking were touching that thing.
Exactly, and you're not washing their hands. Like, it's just terrible. I hate it. Gross.
So on that note,
other NFL news happened today. Some big stuff from. You want to get into the Brandon Cook stuff first? We're going to Cowboys first, or what? What do you want to do?
Do Cowboys.
Or are you going to Le'Veon Bell
team.
first? I don't
no,
know.
go your team. I don't care. Whatever.
Well, no, so Cowboys, welcome back, Randall Gregory. He has been reinstated.
He has not played in 32 of their last 34 games. How do you think he's going to do?
I think he's going to get the MVP this year.
It's going to be slow. The thing that... I mean, it's a conditional basis because they have to confirm that he did all of his classes and everything. So, what did he get suspended for?
He smoked a lot of pot.
I know.
He smoked a lot of pot.
Well, that was his first one,
the
but
pot
then
down.
that was the first suspension. Then what was the second one?
Yeah,
though?
he kept smoking pot.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, the big thing, when so he was part of that draft class. A lot of people knows about the Cowboys, but that draft class that they had when they got Ezekiel Elliott was a solid draft class because they got lucky. Well, they actually didn't have to draft Leo Collins. They actually was able to sign him after the draft as an undrafted free agent because news broke out like right before the draft. Yeah. You know, he was going to go top 10.
Yeah, he was
in the draft. Player, yeah. And he actually like news came out that his like girlfriend died and he got questioned. So people like were stay away from that guy. And then
well, it was worse than that. I mean,
something happened with his girlfriend, but
like,
he
was accused of.
Yeah, like he got questioned for it. I don't think he was ever accused. I think he was just questioned about it.
I think he was. Yeah.
And but that all came out clean. And then with Randall Gregory, he obviously had some issues at Nebraska. He was actually supposed to go out pretty early in that draft as well, but the Cowboys got him pretty late in the game. I think they got him I believe the second round, maybe second or third round.
Second round, I think.
Yeah,
is what
so
it said, yeah.
They actually that was like a pretty solid draft class with like Ezekiel Elliott. So they had all these like hopes because like Randall Gregory is a solid player. Like they had him like, man, this guy's pretty solid. Like he's gonna come in here, he's gonna like wreck some shop, and it just kind of didn't work out that way. Obviously with him smoking the reefer, but. Story about that. I actually was able to talk to a local Dallas media guy during spring training one year, and we were watching like a Mavs Cavaliers game up at Booties, and I was like random. I did this.
Booties.
I did the stalker thing, where he was like calling he was calling the station because I would listen to 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, and Chris Arnold got you down. He was over there. He's like, yeah, I'm at Booties right now watching the game. So I was like, oh man, I'm going to go watch the game with Chris. So I was in there, we started talking, and he was telling me about it. He's like, the Cowboys really like Greg Hardy, but they obviously couldn't keep Greg Hardy because Greg Hardy kept, he
was a jerk on the field.
Well, he was a jerk on the field, but he kept smoking weed with Randall Gregory. Gregory, because he did it in college, and that's why his stock dropped. He was already in the program. So if you're not in the program, you can smoke pot all you want. But since he was already in the program...
As long as you pass your June drug test, you don't get tested again. Yeah.
So because he was in the program, Greg Hardy was actually smoking pot with Randall Gregory, and they're like, well, what the hell? We see more upside in Randall Gregory. So that was actually the draft before Elliott. I believe, right? Yeah.
2015.
That was 2015. Elliott was drafted in 2016 with Dak and all that.
Because he played in 12 games and missed 4 with an ankle injury.
Yeah, so that was like the big draft right there. It was a solid draft that they had.
In 2016, he was suspended for the first 4 games. And then he failed another test, led an additional 10 games in that year. And he was able to return the final 2 regular season games and played well. Got his first sack, his only sack.
Yeah.
Then he was suspended for a year before the 2016 playoffs, and then he hasn't been around the team since. But the thing that intrigued you by that, I mean, his comments, you know, he seems like he's grown up a lot. His comments actually sound like he's willing to be a football player now. He's got over. But I was telling you that, like, he had a job when he wasn't working. He was working out, but then he had a real job. Like, he had to go get a job. It doesn't say what the job is. I was telling you. Like,
yeah, I know. It's like, I wonder so much, like, what this job is that he had. Like, I really want to find out.
He can't have any contact with the team at all. But that's what I was joking around with you, saying, you know, Jerry Jones's cousin's uncle's car dealership is where he's working, you know, quote unquote working. But I mean, all of his comments, and normally when you see somebody that's suspended like this, you know, and who was the guy for the Cardinals? Daryl Washington?
Right.
You know, and he comes back and he was kind of a jerk about it, pushed his way out of it. They were willing to have him try out. He got cut and nobody picked him up after that, because they're kind of jerks when they come back, which I think tells you they're not over. But he's got his attitude on right, but I don't know. He's young, but I mean, missing 30 out of 32 games, you know.
He's fresh, right?
That's a lot of football, man. That's a lot of football. But then his rookie year, he 12 games and has an ankle sprain for 4. He's already injury prone.
Well, maybe he smoked enough pot, you know, to where those injuries won't come up anymore.
Yeah, so we'll see how he works out this year. But
I hold out my hopes. All right, we need you on defense. You and Tank Lawrence need you on there. Tank Lawrence obviously got the franchise tag. One guy who didn't get franchise tag though is in LA, rocking a new 5-year deal, right? Old Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, 5 years, what, $80 million extension. So they wrapped him up for 6 years. So they extended him after this year.
Yeah,
I read it. So they have him for 6 years. The only reason I wanted to bring this story up is, one, it's the Rams, and everybody's picking them to win the NFC West this year, which expectations are they should.
Yeah, they won it last year.
They've always been solid. God, they failed in that playoff game, though.
Well, they didn't win it last year. They went to the playoffs last year, right?
No, they won the division.
Did they win the division last year? All right. I couldn't remember if the Seahawks did or not.
No. You know, but the first year of success after having multiple 8 and 8 years under Jeff Fisher, all that. Innovative offense, you know. Defense has always been good there. Defense was never their problem. But then they showed up to that playoff game and just got dominated the whole playoff game. So that should put a question mark up. They lost Sammy Watkins, so they trade with New England for Cooks. Doesn't play a game with them at all. Gets a 5-year extension for $80 million. And they have a little-known guy on their team that many consider the number 1 defensive lineman in the league, who they have not signed off of his rookie contract. He's been Defensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald is who I'm talking about. He's scheduled to make $6.9 million in his final season of his rookie contract. He's played his ass off for the Rams. Has dominated that defensive line with all the other defensive line guys on there. Is considered, if not the best defensive lineman, one of the best defensive linemen. He's been begging for a new contract for 2 years now, and they sign a guy that has not played one snap with them to an extension, $80 million extension, and not Aaron Donald. Tell me that's not going to cause rifts in this locker room.
No, it's going to cause some rifts. It's going to cause some rifts. Not in the locker room. I mean, right now, you know, like, the Rams media has got to be, like, tearing this up, too. Like, they're...
I was looking at that today, and I don't see anything about it. Maybe it's because they haven't reported yet, like, but it's going to be a topic of conversation next week when 2 weeks when they report, right? But, I mean, Aaron Donald, like, last year he held out a training camp waiting for, you know, no, we'll get you, you know. But he's in his last year. You're going to burn that bridge, man, and, he's been your best player on defense, on an extremely good defense, and all that. And they even admit they signed Cooks to this extension because he looked good in off-season workouts. So I don't know if that's a shot at Donald, like, you're not here because you're holding out, so we're not going to pay you because of that. But, I mean, you know, $6.9 million is nothing to cry about for your, you know, rookie contract. But, the game of football, which will lead into Le'Veon Bell, I guess. You know, the game of football, you got to get your money when you can, because one play, you can be done, you know, on there, especially on the defensive line. He takes a beating, and he gets double-teamed, and he still dominates on that line. And I can't stand the Los Angeles Rams as a Cardinals fan, but I've never liked the Rams, and since they've been back in L.A., but a lot of that had to do with Jeff Fisher's cocky attitude when he just sucked every year. So a lot of that had to do with that. And it seems like every time the Cardinals play the Rams, two or three good players get hurt. Like, I don't know what it is about that.
So, according to what I've been seeing, Donald still expects a deal to get done before the season starts. And even on here, they're like, all right, so here are all the dominoes kind of fall into place. Obviously you sign Cooks. Right now the Rams are trying to get that core. So they're trying to get that core, and then, you let Watkins and quarterback Tremaine Johnson go in free agency. Those were kind of like the first two dominoes. The third domino kind of fell today when the team failed to reach a long-term deal with safety LaMarcus Jr., who's set to become a free agent in 2019. The fourth domino is actually the Cooks deal with the Rams following the trade in April where, they traded off a fourth-round pick for first and sixth round picks.
They brought in Talib and who else? Somebody else too, which is big money guys.
They're saying the fifth domino will likely be Donald, which should, be a record-setting boulder probably for training camp. But if the Rams can't sign him, that's when you send that odd message like, all right, why the hell did you sign Brandon Cooks to still not lock up Donald?
The Rams only have $2.29 million remaining on their salary cap space. So they don't have room to sign. They don't have room to sign Donald right now to a big contract unless they say, "Hey, we'll get you this year." But there better be a lot of guaranteed money in that.
Well, they still have Peters and Gurley under team control for 2 more years, and Goff is still in there for 3. And plus, you have the potential to franchise tag any one of those 3 right there.
But do the math, man. It's coming up. They should lock Donald up last year, the year before, because then that would stretch out over 5 years, and he'd be covered for the other guys now. So,
well, according to TheRinger.com, they're still saying that Donald could get the
they were saying that last
record-breaking contract.
They were saying that last year too, and they didn't. Remember, he threatened to hold out the last. He showed up the Saturday before the first game and sat out the first game last year.
And even today, Donald said, "I expect to get a deal." So we'll see if he holds out. I mean, obviously, he said he is going to hold out, and right now, scheduled to make $6.89 million this season. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. But speaking of holdouts, looks like Le'Veon Bell is going to.
Le'Veon Bell is the new Brett Favre.
New Brett Favre.
Yeah, well, Brett Favre was starting to retire before he didn't, but Le'Veon Bell's always, pay me.
Right.
They don't want to pay you, Le'Veon. Isn't that obvious by now? They don't want to pay you, buddy.
But why not?
26-year-old running back.
But he's not just a running back. He does it all. He's involved in the passing game, super heavy. The guy can literally, go out there, run for, 150 yards and also catch, for 110 yards.
It came out today. They offered him, a 4-year deal. I want to say it was $15 million a year. I could be off on that. And 2 years was guaranteed.
Right.
And he turned that down, is what came out today. No, Le'Veon Bell wants a 5-year fully guaranteed contract. Right. That's what he's fighting for. And I hope to God, I'm all for go get the money you can get. But I'm also being kind of selfish here. I hope to God he doesn't get that, because David Johnson's going to be right behind him asking for the same amount of money for the Cardinals. Here, Le'Veon Bell's doing the right thing. We had this talk when what's his name retired when I was in Sturgis last week for a day, and when what's his name, DeMarco Murray retired.
Yeah.
And I told you that DeMarco Murray's biggest contract was 5 years,
it was 40, with the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, no, it was when he left Dallas and he signed with the Eagles. That was his biggest contract, and it was $7 million a year. Or $10 million a year or something like that, and Le'Veon Bell's made more than that. So you got to get your money when you get in. He's such an important part of that team, but he's got no choice. If they franchise tag him, he has to play under that contract. But man, he's one step from a guy with that big of a workload. You're one step from being out and not having a deal after this year. So it's definitely a gamble for him. I wish him luck. He's had hamstring problems though.
Yeah.
The longer he sits out training camp, because he's already saying he ain't playing in training. He's already said he's not going to training camp regardless. So another season where he's going to miss training camp. He says he's in shape, but we all know there's difference between running on a treadmill and being in football shape and your body absorbing those hits on the first day and stuff like that. So But not only that, but it's just a mental thing for that locker room, and we all know the Steelers already struggle with mental toughness, you know, with certain things. So, but you know what's he making this year on that thing? $14 million. He's trying to. I don't know why he feels like he has to. Yeah, $14.5 million. I don't understand why he feels like he has to be the guy to, because running backs are underpaid in the league because they do have short. DeMarco Murray just retired at age 30.
Yeah, I mean the lifespan of running back. I mean, pretty much if you're a team, NFL team, you use and abuse your running back, then you let him go, let some other team overpay for a guy who's broken down, and that's exactly what the Cowboys did. Because I mean, DeMarco Murray literally came off his best season ever. Has a running back. He had over 18.
Well, the Eagles
100 yards.
Yeah, the Eagles overpaid for him, so they let him go.
Yeah, and they were like, all right, well, we're not going to sign you to that, so see you later, because they knew he was beat down. And the Eagles obviously brought him into with a 3-back system, which was just terrible for him. You know, he didn't really get to play. Then I believe he got hurt too that year.
But he was good with the Titans last.
And then
2 years.
he came back and had a resurgence with the Titans once he got traded there. So it was kind of shocking to see that he did retire, but I mean, I think you looks at the body and everything like that. Maybe he just wasn't feeling right with his body because he did have some hamstring issues and stuff like that last year too.
Yeah, he's got a job with ESPN.
Yeah, and he has been in talks with people on TV.
Well, he retired. So. He announced his retirement on ESPN NFL Live, so he's got a job lined up.
Well, while he's behind the desk getting ready to. So, in other news today, I'm retiring from the NFL. In other news today, Le'Veon Bell wants a higher contract. What do you guys think?
Ian Rappaport says he turned down a 5-year, $70 million contract with more than $30 million guaranteed over 2 seasons. So he turned down that deal. I think he came out with a dollar amount that he said he's going to get paid per year. But the comparison I heard today, which actually I'd forgotten about, and it makes sense because they're similar running backs. Edgerrin James in 2006, 2007 had his best year as a Colt. Became a free agent. Cardinals played him and brought him in. He had 2 solid 1,000-yard seasons, dominated for 2 more years, and then that fell off the face of the planet. You know, couldn't run anymore, couldn't do anything anymore, anything like that. And Le'Veon Bell's the same age right now going into free agency, especially after this year. So that's probably why the Steelers offered him only a 2-year contract. No team's going to offer him or 2 years guaranteed. No team's going to offer him a 4 or 5 year contract like he wants.
I mean, I think guaranteed. Right now, you look at it, obviously, you have your different perspectives on the way the Le'Veon Bell situation is. I mean, obviously, if you're like a guy, like us, who I think we kind of understand the way the game flows now. I mean, there was a time back in my day where I was like, no, you got to pay the guy. He's our best player. But now you kind of understand running backs do decline with age. The lifespan of running back is the shortest lifespan in all the NFL.
They're the easiest position to replace.
Easiest position to replace. Just get somebody back there behind the line. You're good to go.
2 or 3 guys behind the line.
Yeah, I mean, you get a couple of guys. Like the Patriots do. They pass all the time. Whatever.
But the Steelers are that one team that's holding on to. Well, them and the Giants, I guess. But they're one of a few teams that holds on to that run first, I formation, first down, running it right down the middle, So.
Right. So, but, when it comes from the owner, GM, front office perspective, this guy isn't going to give us this many years. We know that, and that's why we're scared. But then it comes to the fan perspective. I mean, I saw the sign. I was watching WWE Extreme Rules the other night, and there's a sign on the pay-per-view that said "Pay Le'Veon," which the guy's obviously making money with the franchise tag. I mean, that's not a bad deal. I mean,
$14 million for a running back is not a bad deal.
No, not at all.
I will go get beat up. for that, So, so I mean, it's just that time of year where Aaron Donald and now Le'Veon Bell's. This is a constant thing but this is the last year of it. I mean, they can't franchise him after this year. So this is the last year. But I mean, his agent's already come out and said he's done playing for the Steelers. But like I said, who's going to sign him for what he wants after this year? Especially, he better have a good year.
And I think a lot of the stuff, too, why Le'Veon does lose a lot of leverage, too, is because he does come out and he's like, I want this price, I want this price, I want this price. And it's like, dude, we're handcuffed here. We can't do that. You can't just, roll into, your job and be like, you pay me this right now or I'm leaving. And they're like, all right, well, leave. sorry, but this $14.5 million isn't, good enough for you for 1 year. Leave, see you later.
And I've complained about this. Well, it's like I said, they probably draft a younger guy next year that, he's not going to put up the same numbers, let's be honest, but you can probably replace him with two guys that'll probably put up similar numbers between the two of them, in there for a lot cheaper than $14 million a year on there. But the Steelers are just that old school team, but it goes back to the whole thing with the NFL is Le'Veon Bell is playing that game where, and this is why the NFL needs to get rid of preseason, is because he's playing that game where he's going to treat the first 4 weeks of the season as his training camp.
Right.
So he's going to sit out the preseason because it doesn't mean anything to him. He only gets paid $16 or $800 a week like everybody else. He's going to sit out those 4 weeks, not take the money, anything, train on his own, show up week 1, and then he's going to get into shape and everything in the first 4 weeks. And that's why the NFL needs to get rid of preseason football and don't call it, even if you don't call it regular season, but make it to where it counts for the season record so guys will show up and then let the players work themselves into shape at that point, so.
And I think it all comes down to now, the big question is, how far is Le'Veon Bell dropping in your fantasy draft?
He'll still be drafted in the top 5 probably.
You think?
Yeah. He was last year. Christ, Ezekiel Elliott was drafted high last year, and he was suspended for 6 games.
Elliott, we didn't know what his suspension would be, and I picked him up in the second round.
I know, that's my point.
I picked him up in the second round. I was like, I waited long enough. I had a snake. I think I had the last 2 picks. So I had the last pick of the first round.
Yeah.
So all right, I got to get him around because he ain't gonna be there. And he helped get me to the playoffs. He was a contributor.
David Johnson will be 1 or 2, as long as whoever has it doesn't get scared of his injury status or his contract status. Bell will be up there though. Yeah, I don't do fantasy football like I used to. I don't study it, but finally.
Well, you better get to studying because you are now in a $50 league.
I know. Now that money's on the line, big money's on the line. I better look into it. So, well, the big news of the day, and the only reason I want to bring this up because Terrell Owens is going to the Hall of Fame this year. And he's pissing all the Hall of Fame people off. So the latest thing was they're not even going to mention him. They mention dead people. People that are dead when they get voted in the Hall, they mention them and do a video. The Hall has said they're not even going to mention his name because he's not going to show up on that. So some people are on his side on that. So he's going to go do a speech on the thing. But now he has forced the Edmonton team of the CFL. What are they, the Whalers or something? I don't even know. So they have a 10-year contract, or he basically optioned his 10-day negotiating window. So he's trying to play in the CFL. So I brought that up to you where, wouldn't that be great if while the Hall of Fame is going on and Terrell Owens is playing in Canada, in Canadian Football League, while he's being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Wouldn't that be just the best story ever?
That would be awesome.
where's Terrell?
What would he even do? Because he came out last week and said I want to be Tennessee Chattanooga during my speech, which obviously I don't know. It's one of those weird things where you go to the Hall of Fame. I want to see the people who boo him when he does get inducted, and I want to see the people who cheer him when he does it, because there's God, I'm not going to say this because it's going to sound really shitty, but when you go to a sporting event, those people who are oh man, T.O., he does nothing wrong, he's the man, yada, yada, yada.
And then you got me,
and then you got
can't stand Terrell Owens, I think he's the worst thing for football.
And I've always thought, I said this to you, I think T.O. does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Not gonna lie, I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I told you he has borderline numbers, borderline whatever, but the thing, he's basically borderline, so he had to wait. He thinks he was a number 1, and a lot of people are oh, he deserved to be in there first, but he had to wait. I'm fine with him being in the Hall, he has good enough numbers, but I also understand why they had him wait, because he pissed off every teammate he ever had, and he's just, God damn, you're a 40-something-year-old man, for Christ's sakes. Quit acting like a 12-year-old, you baby. This is equivalent to when the Eagles and him got in that spat and he's doing sit-ups in his front driveway. And, my God, man. I get you have to have a chip on your shoulder to play football and in your life, but you accomplished something that people dream of doing, and you're acting like a 2-year-old baby out here. It's ridiculous. But saying that, I want to see him in the CFL because he will be playing Hall of Fame week. So not that night. I don't think, but he would be playing then. That would be just awesome to see. Like, how would you cover that at that point?
Would he rock his like CFL jersey out too? You know,
He wears
like,
his gold jacket. Like Ocho Cinco had that one time.
oh yeah, where he had the old what did it say, like Hall of Fame, like question mark or something like that.
No, he said he was in the HOF. Yeah.
Yeah, it said like HOF, and then it said like question mark, like to be determined. You know, like when he was going in. He's not going in, is he?
No.
Yeah, he's totally not going in.
But like, that's the thing. Like we talked about it earlier. I mean, Terrell Owens still wants to play football. Ocho Cinco still wants to play football. Freaking Vince Young still wants to play football. Like, they're begging all these things. But that's where this developmental league, they're coming. XFL is a whole nother beast that one of either that or the AFL or whatever the hell they're calling it needs to be a developmental league. But not only a developmental league, but it needs to allow guys that want to keep playing that can't make an NFL roster to showcase theirs. Like, it would be perfect for Terrell Owens to be in the AFL this year if he wants to. You know, like Johnny Manziel had to go to Canadian Football League in order to play. If there was a local, a team in America, another thing, he could play to prove himself and work his way back up into the NFL. That's why it's exciting for these bottom leagues, because they can get it. Because Terrell Owens, what if he is really good at 41,
Right.
So he goes in there, proves himself, plays well. Some team needs a receiver. They call him up. Whatever you want to call it, they call him up and he plays, and all that stuff, because that's all he wants to do is he just wants to play football, because every time a receiver gets hurt, you're him or Ocho Cinco, we'll play.
Oh, yeah. I think that's what's going to be so great. I think when the XFL, when everything does work out, because the XFL, when it was originally on, they did have a deal, with NBC where they were on. I think at this point now, just kind of looking at where everything is kind of going to with them, I can definitely see it where, Fox would pick up on it. Well, just because Fox does the Big 3 league now with the old guys, I think maybe they would be FS1's hey, let's pick up this XFL league.
Or Meta World Peace gets kicked out of his first Big 3 game because he punts the basketball when he gets mad at a ref.
Sometimes it happens. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see once all the particulars and everything gets worked out there, and actually who the cities are and the names and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, the AFL's already announcing. Phoenix has one, and not Rick Mahorn. Geez. The guy that went to McClintock High School and was coach at Washington and everything for a bunch of years, Colorado. Anyway, but that's why the NFL needs a feeder league for this reason. I mean, we're losing, and I hate to say this, but we lose a lot of good quality. CFL's full of college players that want to keep playing football but can't make the NFL. Those guys need to stay here locally, learn the game here, and grow from here to go up into that, and that's what needs to be important on that, side of it. So, but anyway, rant over,
and the show is over as well. Thanks for hanging out with us here for this long edition of the main event. 2 hours and a little bit of change here for you. Coming at you on this beautiful Wednesday, because I'm going to put this together, send it out tomorrow morning. And actually today, whichever one you're listening to, we record this on Tuesday. So there you go, right after the All-Star game. We're actually technically right now on the East Coast. It's all
we waited for the All-Star game to get done today. So if anything exciting happened, we could talk about it. Like Machado getting traded.
Congratulations to Bergman on giving the Corvette to his mom. Not a looker. Anyways, just gonna throw it out there.
She's no whatever the guy that Dallas draft picks mom.
Oh yeah, she is not. Oh man, Luka Doncic. Gosh, his mom is.
But Bryce Harper's dad. Damn.
Man, did you see that fucking face sweater he was rocking?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the beard.
You weren't a fan of the...
No, because it was all
black, just for men beard?
I don't like those exactly. I don't like those I don't like beards in general, but they just itch when you make out with them.
If you want to talk about cheating, you could probably test Bryce's dad. I guarantee you, he's been roiding.
He was holding that trophy up, his arms were freaking The Rock, man.
He was on some roids. I ain't gonna lie. So I don't know if they can drug test for that. Maybe take Bryce's title away from him.
I get the impression, to wrap this up, that Bryce Harper and his dad are the Gronkowski family. But the dad's just yeah, go get him, boy! All just wild and crazy, and so the boys are too. I feel that's the way with.
I just love how his dad reminded him on the field. He's like, yeah, I won this one, you know, the last one. And Dad's like, yeah, you won that one back in 04 too. Boom. It's like when he was like 12, you know.
I know.
It's like, yeah, thanks, Dad. Anyways, thank you for listening. Make sure you share the podcast with your friends. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, all that stuff. Check us out on Twitter at The Main Event Pod and also on Facebook at The Main Event Podcast. And you can find me and Steve both on Twitter. I'm at Jason Carter03. Steve's at SMac500. Thank you for listening. God bless you. God bless the troops. And God bless America.